Jeremiah. This year, the Vetter Cup is real with an actual Vetter Cup between the two cities. Good morning, DJ. We've missed you.
Oh, it's great to be with you guys. Sorry, I was a little bit tardy yesterday, but excited to be back on with you guys. And I'll be even more excited to talk about baseball. If you guys want to talk about baseball instead of the draft, we can do that.
No, I think we'll talk about the draft. Maybe even before we get to the draft, could we talk about like everything that's happened since we spoke last?
Oh
I mean, how many conversations did we have over the course of the season about DK's future, about Gino's future, and then about a week or so before it all went down, we played a little sound from our friend Daniel Jeremiah on the Move the Sticks podcast as he keeps saying, well, what if they were to trade both of those guys? Lo and behold, not more than a week or so later, that
thought, you know, as we started getting into the off-season mode and started looking at it, and you talk to people that, you know, are connected in that building, including your co-host, and you just start looking at everything that goes on, get a feel for these are kind of a pivot point, and this felt like the right time to do that.
Had Pete Carroll not gone to Las Vegas, could these wheels have spun the way they did?
I still think you would have found a taker. I think you would have found similar compensation for Gino somewhere. So I think it made more sense about where he was leaving as opposed to where he was going. I think they made that whole thing kind of come together. So I think it was more about Sam being available and being a target and feeling like you can get more about Sam than it even was about Gino.
Well, I think you know where I stand on it. I mean, I spent all year asking you and everybody else, like, hey, is there any way this could happen? Could they move on from it? And I've asked Brock and Moore and Lyle here about 1,000 times, and I've gotten good answers from them, but I'll ask you as well. Why do you think the Seahawks have been so quick to say, like, hey, you said it was an inflection point, it was time to move on? Why do the Seahawks seem to be so intent on saying that they didn't want to?
Well, I think some of that happens when, gosh, why did you guys move on from him? We'd like, hey, look, we tried. We had a good faith effort. We put what our value number was out there, and he didn't want it. So it's more if he fell to moving on from a quarterback. But the other thing is I think they had a very different opinion of what his value was.
And Pittsburgh for Gino down in Vegas.
Well, let's see. I mean, you've got with Pittsburgh, I mean, we're assuming that Aaron Rodgers is going to go with Rodgers. That's not his typical style of receiver. So, you know, I think that the success of that decision by Pittsburgh is going to be determined off who the quarterback is next year and beyond. Feels like this is just kind of a one-year flyer that they'll take on Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that's a perfect match, a perfect fit with DK Metcalf. I know, I guess they're throwing together at UCLA, but that one to me doesn't seem like it doesn't look like any of the receivers he's had success with throughout his career. So I'm not as bullish on that one.
What do you think of Sam Darnold?
I've always been a fan of Sam Darnold. I've always believed in the ground on him and had decided that, okay, we haven't seen anything good. He's never going to be good. He's not good. And it was like they were just eyeballing the first side that, look, the one game at the end of the year against the Lions was on him. He didn't play well. It was on the road and a chance to win that division. He did not play well. In the playoff game, nobody was playing well in that situation. He got the tar kicked out of him. I mean, they couldn't protect. And I always just tell people that are crucifying him over those two games, well, then you better be the same person who's crucifying Patrick Mahomes for the Super Bowl then too, because that's the same type of a situation. So I believe in Sam, and I think Seattle is a perfect place because they've seen a quarterback who was drafted and talked about the tools that he possessed, and it didn't quite work out for a while, and he just kind of needed to get in that right goes. So I was like, this is a Gino Jr. situation. I mean, it's history repeating itself.
Well, and obviously he won't have that offensive line problem here because they've taken so many steps here. Better bring something. John's already said there's no centers, so there's nothing you can do.
DJ, you know, congratulations, DJ. On Tuesday, it took exactly 7 minutes to get to this point. Exactly 7 minutes to get to DJ and with DJ before the sarcasm.
To be fair, like you can't sign anybody. Nobody is signable. It's hard to sign anyone because everyone is a problem. This guy's too big. This guy's too slow. This guy's too fast. This guy's not big enough. This guy won football. It's just hard because there aren't any good offensive linemen, which is why no one signed any.
But you forgot also the other side of that, which is now we have new coaches. We're going to make our existing players better. So that's
unfortunately, I'm watching that with the Mariners and they're hitting, and I'm not seeing a lot of that. So it's really
It's
hard
the
for me
batter's
to
eye,
believe
man. Come
that
on, it's just the batter's eye issue. That's all.
Yeah, and it's just been the coaching for the last decade with 5 different coaches on the
help
offensive
me on this
line.
one, then,
like,
DJ.
You got to
DJ,
find offensive linemen.
Help
You
me on
can't
this
talk
one.
about. You can't make baseball analogies right now, okay? Because all I can think of is 7-0. Merrill's extended for the next 9 years. I
He's good.
totally lost my train of thought.
Ooh,
Yes.
he's good.
Help me understand this one. Some just bricks and mortar behind the scenes. How much do organizations, and in this case the Seattle Seahawks, look at this upcoming draft? They've done the work. They've been at the combine. They've got their grades. They've got their feeling of how they're going to project these prospects into this draft in 3 weeks. And how much do they compare that with what is on the free agent market? So when it comes to Will Fries and Tevin Jenkins and Lucas Patrick and the number of guys they brought through their building to say, okay, this is what we've got coming. Here's the multitude of different options we have on April 24th and 25th and 26th. Let's compare that to these guys coming through the door here, and how much of a role does that play in activity or inactivity?
Well, I think that's 100% part of it. I mean, you're trying to evaluate the whole, and the challenge is in this particular year is you had a combination of 2 things, which put some teams in a hard spot. Which is you have one of the worst free agency years that we've seen, so there's not a ton of talent out there, and every team, because of the TV contracts, has oodles and oodles of bucks. So everybody has space, which means we are set up for drastic overpays. So if you look at free agency from a traditional value standpoint, you're like, look what Banks got. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're not paying him that. Like, that's insane. But when there's so many teams with so much money and such a dearth of talent, you're going to get massive overpays. And so if you're not comfortable grossly overpaying, you're not getting anybody in this offseason.
Where do you live in San Diego? I know you're in San Diego. Where do you live?
East County.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
East County. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's some of the homes in San Diego are pretty pricey, right? I mean, they're not always the nice, not every home, but if you want to live in Encinitas, if you want to live in,
can't find anything
Del
decent
Mar,
under $2 million.
Yeah, it's hard because it's expensive because, that's just what the price is. And you're overpaying for that house because of all of those reasons. But if you want to live there, then that's what you got to spend on a house. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's what it costs. And when you've been homeless for 10 years, at some point you're going to have to spend the money on a house if you want to live somewhere. It's really frustrating to me. And I don't know which of the guys that went other places they should have had. I'm not a scout. I don't pretend to be. I don't know whether Tevin Jenkins was great or Ryan Kelly or any of the other guys that went from one team to another. But at least 6, 7, 8, 9 guys changed teams at the offensive line, interior offensive line spot, and none of them would have been a good fit here. None.
Well, I think, to keep your analogy rolling, I think that they evaluated the housing market and they thought that maybe some of these houses were needed a little bit of renovation. Some of them, they did not love the location, and they know with the draft coming, there's new condos that are being built in the next couple months, and they can maybe go get one of those cheaper condos, and then they can spend their money elsewhere. Maybe
so
on
is that
a
what
nice
they're going to
vacation
do?
spot.
Did they have to do that now, though?
I mean, look, I would be shocked if their first 3 picks don't include one of those guys, and that's at least one plug and play starter, which you should be able to find here, and then you just try and you take some shots as you go throughout the draft. But they're going to have to address a position 100%.
Your favorite today, 3 weeks from today, and we'll let you sharpen your pencil over the next 3 weeks as you hone in and listen and everything else. But if you were to kind of say today, man, the home run pick for an interior offensive lineman to fit this new scheme and to fit these Seahawks and plug and play starter day one is
Gray Zabel. I would take Gray Zabel. I think he can do everything. I love Booker. Booker in gap scheme and just power and firm pocket and intelligence, leadership, all that stuff off the charts. I'm still a Booker fan. I love Booker, but to me, Gray Zabel can give you the majority of that stuff, as well as the ability to get out in space and do things second level and pull them and just give you the versatility. Plus, he's got legit 5-position flex on an offensive line that's had injury issues over the years. Having a guy like that who you can kind of shuffle the deck around a little bit, I thought he would be just a tremendous value for them.
So in chatting with the folks around there a little bit, what I've come to understand, DJ, is one of the most important components that these, and man, they got a run game. Since we talked to you, they've got an O-line coach, an assistant O-line coach, a run game coordinator, a run game analyst. I mean, they brought in as much resources I've ever seen an organization bring in within this scheme. From what I understand, they say, hey, first step quickness is a priority. It's a premium. If you're going to run this kind of zone blocking scheme, who are a few of the linemen not named Gray Zabel that may be in the second and third round, guys that have a really great first step twitch that could also be fits?
Yeah, the first name actually that pops into mind, and he might be more of a third, fourth round pick, but just when the first name that popped up is actually Jonah Monheim from SC. Now his issue has just been a little bit of strength anchor, but man, like you're talking just first step quickness. Can you get out and move? He's outstanding with that, and he's really really smart on top of that. So that's more like third, fourth round type. Going through my list here and looking at some of the other guys with quickness, I think Donovan Jackson plays with quickness out of Ohio State. I think he's my 41st player. I think he's going to go in the second round, probably top half of the second round would be my guess. Other guys, I know he doesn't have length, which worries some people, but again, probably fourth round. Joshua Gray from Oregon State is someone who can really move. Has got excellent quickness. Is a good football player. Again, you're just trying to get around the length. But those are a couple names if we're just going to focus on that specific trait.
We spent a little time talking about the idea of a trade with that pick, and Bill Barnwell had thrown this one out there, so I'll throw it at you and get your thought on it. Essentially giving up number 18, getting back Wyatt Teller, the guard from Cleveland, and also the 33rd and 67th pick. So you get the first pick in the second round, third pick in the third round, plus a guard in order to move back from 18. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at Wyatt Teller and study him a little bit more. I mean, he was a great player a few years ago. I don't know where his level of play is at currently. So I wouldn't have the wisdom to offer a take on that one. But I do like in this particular draft, I do like getting into day two as much as possible. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, for what this draft is. I've talked to teams about all the time, Brock, and we're going over players. And you can talk to one team and they're like, this guy's going to go in the 50s. And you talk to another team and they're like, this guy's going to go in the teens. That's the range. I mean, it's all over the map.
Is that rare?
I would say it's become more commonplace over the last few years, but I just think this year I don't know. There's been similarly graded players, but this year they're lower graded. You know what I mean? So, like on our grading scale, it's like, man, in years past we might have had more like 6.4, 6.5, 6.7 type grades, and there's some similarities with some teams. And this year, it's like the whole draft is just full of 6.3s, which are like traditional second round type players.
Brock and I got into a debate yesterday as we're talking to Daniel Jeremiah. I ended up writing about it a little bit last night about this whole, this dichotomy you hear every year: best available or need. And I think I'm done with this debate. I don't ever want to hear it. It doesn't make any sense. There have to be more options,
explain it?
right?
Can I explain it?
Yeah, let him explain it first.
Please do, yeah.
Okay, so here's how this works, because every year you hear this, and every team, you'll notice, and listen to the post press conferences. We stuck to our board. We went with best available player, which means they're the highest rated player. So you got the board going horizontal, right, which is all the positions, so you grade them up that way, and then you have to meld them together to put your master list together. So what happens is teams organize their list. They stack their list, they grade them and then they stack them and move them over to their overall list by their need. And then what they do is they say, yep, we took the best available player. Yeah, but you just stacked your list based off your need. So what the heck is the difference?
Well, I'm glad you say that, because that sort of fits the point I was trying to make. There's no way that those are the only two options. Should I take the best available player or should I take my biggest need? Oh, I don't know. What about a third option? And for me, the word that I was using with Brock yesterday is impact. Which position is going to give you impact? You might have one player who's a higher graded player than another, maybe even at a position of bigger quote unquote need. But if it's not a position that provides a tremendous amount of impact for the style that you want on your team, then you probably shouldn't draft him there.
Yeah, I think impact's a good word. I think there's also the financial component to this that I've heard way more over the last handful of years, which is like we were talking about. Who was it? Was talking to a team, and I was discussing how would you stack this little clump of receivers versus it might even have been like it was a defensive tackle, I believe, and he said his point was, well, with what I'd have to pay a receiver on the open market and the lack of quality receivers who ever even get to the market anymore, it's too much value for me to take the defensive tackle. Like there's going to be defensive tackles in free agency. We can find one if we need one, but like impact receivers, like those guys are going for $30 million a year and they don't get to the market. So
better take a guard then, or better take a guard or a center, because apparently all the ones that get to the free agent market are overpriced and not very good. So you better be drafting three of them.
This car always ends up in the same garage in this conversation.
DJ, for the last month in your absence, remember Nickelodeon growing up and they get slimed? I'm sitting there every day getting slimed by sarcasm, and I'm trying to put like a different shield or something. Like, I don't know what more I can say on this. Here is a question though, so I'll use the word value.
I'm glad to have a new target in DJ to hit up with this instead of you.
Yeah, now you're sick of slime too. Here you go. Come sit by me. It's
Yeah.
gonna be wonderful. Do teams put, and I think you just kind of answered there as you laid out that board, do teams put a different premium by position? So yesterday, as we were debating this, I said, Salk, okay, so here's the deal. X receiver at number 18, he's got an 8.2 grade. He's just a phenomenal whatever. And then you've got interior lineman at a 6.8 grade, right? But that, positionally, and certainly the need on your team, in this case the Seahawks, obviously have a huge need on the interior offensive line. But do teams, by and large, across the league, put premiums on big people, O-line, D-line, versus some of those other perimeter positions?
I think different teams handle that differently. It's not all the same.
Okay.
So some teams are just going to say, like, I go into the draft with my goal in the first round to take the best available big guy, either side of the line of scrimmage. The Eagles, for the most part, and they've taken receivers and they've done, they've gone off that script a little bit. But that's their preference, is if they have it anywhere close, they're going to take the bigger guy. There's several teams that think that way. But there's other times where I've been in teams, I go back to my time in the Ravens. This is like in the early 2000s, and I don't remember who the coach was, but it was like we needed another safety to play next to Ed Reed. And he was like, we can't line up and play with what we have right now. So you can talk about all these other positions, and you want to guard, and I know that this coach wants that, and we can't line up and play week one. I don't have a safety. And so that's those conversations, and then sometimes that works, and sometimes the general manager say, thanks, appreciate it. Well, you don't get to sit in the draft room during the draft. You go back to your office, and we'll conduct our business, and we'll get you safety in the 5th round, and you'll make it work.
I don't think that I'd be invited into the draft
No,
office right now.
Salk would be absent. And along those lines, at Salk's school down there at Pomona, they had a grading scale. Of course they did, DJ, to what, 12, Salk?
12-point scale.
Yeah, they had 12.0.
Nice. They just used a 12-point scale.
They're 3x better than everybody else, by and large, and that's okay, at least in their own mind. How different are the different grading scales? You mentioned some of these teams got this guy in the teens, this guy in the 50s.
Yeah.
How much differently do the Seahawks grade through their scouting department with John? It's been here forever. How much differently do they grade, versus their peers in the league, you think?
Well, there's two different styles of grade. So you have teams who grade by their role. So like when I was the Ravens system that came from Belichick, so it's you can kind of follow that lineage and that tree in those teams. We had them, like the grades were correlated with, 8-0 was like a perfect player. Then you'd have, go all the way down the list where 6-7 was a day one impact starter. 6-3 was, you're saying he is an eventual starter. He's going to start. 6-1 was a potential starter. So it was based off of your role. 59 is a backup. 57 is a practice squad player. And then there's other teams, then that's that go by the rounds. So they just have assessed the value of the overall player. He's a 1-5, like he's a middle of the first round. He's a 2-2. He's a top of the second round. Like they kind of do their grading scale that way. So those are two different ways to do it, either kind of by rounds or by deciding whether or not they're a starter, backup.
Last thing,
so on and so forth.
Before you run here is let's just talk quarterbacks real quick.
So bored. See, Brock tries to ask like a scouting question. Like, let's get in the minutia.
I guess I was trying to think about our audience and what they might care about.
Salk just like literally fell asleep.
We need a lineman.
Eyes closed.
I thought the audience might want to hear about quarterbacks before you go, so I thought maybe I would bring you back around and ask
Salk,
about
man
quarterbacks.
Of the people.
That's me. I represent everybody out there. Thank you, Maura. How's the quarterback movement going, and maybe specifically about Jackson Dart?
It's interesting, man. There's
finally
some people think that we'll see 3 quarterbacks go in the first round, And there's people that think we might have one quarterback go in the first round, and then it's a free-for-all on day 2 for everybody. And I'm like, I mean, that's seems extreme to me. But there are people in the league that think there's at least an outside chance that happens. We have one go 1-1 overall, and then there's a waiting period there. So, I mean, look, we're 3 weeks out. There's stuff getting thrown against the wall all over the place, but I've had that conversation with a couple different teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask you that question.
Real
3
quick,
weeks out.
then.
I mean, yeah,
real quick.
Closer
Would you
to the
consider
draft.
Jackson Dart either at 18 or in the second round?
He's my 35th, 36th player. So, yeah, that would put him – I'm doing my due diligence for sure. I think I want to – I'm a Sam Darnold guy, so I would prefer to try and help Sam here with this first pick. If somehow Jackson Dart's still floating around there in the second round, that might just be a situation where this is value here. I'll take it.
DJ, we cannot – you understand something, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you do, actually. I mean, you get a little taste of Salk. You've gotten to know him over the last 9 months.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
What?
If the Seahawks draft a wide receiver at 18, Salk's
I'm going to be out of my mind.
I mean, he will be so apoplectic. I know that we've agreed to talk to you, I think, a time or two after the draft.
Yeah, you might not want to. You might want to bail.
Do you understand what will happen? What are the possibilities right now? Percentage chance that the Seahawks take – because we've seen it mocked with a bunch of these different guys – the percentage chance today the Seahawks take a wide receiver at 18.
I don't think I've ever had that in these. The only one that I had was the last mock I got right here because this was
tight
my
end
situation. Yeah, because this was my
that would not make me vomit. By the way, tight end would be fine.
Because when the way this one worked out, because Zabel went 16 to the Cardinals, so he was off the board. And this one, Colston
DJ, your
Loveland
peers, many of your peers put a wide receiver at 18.
Either Golden or McMillan.
Yes.
No, I don't see that. But to me, that was Loveland's like my 6th or 7th player. So I mean, at some point in time, I'm like, this guy helps my quarterback, and that's tremendous value.
We obviously miss you because we have too many questions. 10 seconds. If you were going to draft Loveland at 18, is it worth trading up to 13, 14 to get Tyler Warren?
They're very closely graded. If you told me Loveland was going to fall to me, I'd take Loveland.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Awesome.
Do whatever you want to do with the other 4 seconds.
I love it.
Will the Padres lose before next Wednesday, when we talk to
Going to Chicago, it's a little cold there for us.
It's chilly. Oh,
I'd vomit.
That's, again, my reaction if they decide to take a wide receiver at number 18. DJ, it's good to have you back. We've missed you. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled time Wednesday at 8:30 next week. Thank you, and we'll talk then.
I appreciate it. How many shows did you do while I was gone? 3?
I have not missed a show I was just saying to these guys. I haven't taken a day off all year.
That's true.
All year. 3 months.
True.
Yes.
Goodbye.
I
Go
don't
away.
believe that.
Go away, DJ. There goes
I'll
Daniel.
go check the podcast.
There's DJ. We'll be right back as we're going to keep the draft conversation rolling with Brock's scouting report on yet another draft prospect. It's coming up next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob. Weekdays 2 to 7.
We feel like they have the players. But do they have it on the offensive line? That's a huge question mark.
The only thing that I guess keeps me from being too anxious about the O-line, when they see a problem, they tend to rectify it right there. I mean, both of your offseason acquisitions at linebacker didn't make it to the end of the season. Why would that be any different with the O-line? If you looked at somebody on that line and said, this guy just does not have it, he'd be gone.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Hey, it's me, second base at T-Mobile Park. In my view, it's pretty sweet. I can see the big dumper flashing his platinum glove, firing a perfect throw right at me. Here comes the tag. Oh, got him.
Another strike him out, throw him out for Cal Raleigh.
Then there's Julio, stomping on me on his way to a stand-up triple. That dude is unreal.
Swinging a line drive, Julio round to third with a 2-out, 3-run triple.
And JP, smooth as silk, snaring line drives out of thin air.
And he takes a hit away!
Come check it out for yourself. There's nothing like being this close to the action. Although I'm still waiting to get invited to the wind dance. A base can dream. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Be here at T-Mobile Park next week for divisional showdowns against the Astros and Rangers. The Mariners are squaring off against Houston Monday, April 7th to Wednesday, April 9th, and Texas Friday, April 11th to Sunday, April 13th. Go to Mariners.com to lock in your seats and check out all the marquee matchups on deck at the ballpark.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Oh, man, 206 says, as a daily listener of this show, I almost want the Seahawks to take a wide receiver just so I can listen to Salk lose his mind.
I'd vomit.
Yeah. I'll just let Jay take it for me. I don't need to say
So
it.
you wouldn't vomit.
No.
Your head would fall off your body.
I'd vomit.
Yeah.
It would pop off.
I think it would be a really, really big mistake. And you know what'll end up happening? They're going to end up taking, what's the kid's name, Golden, out of Texas. They're going to end up taking him. I'm going to lose my mind, and he's going to end up being the next Randy Moss. He's going to be like the best player ever, and I'm just going to have to eat it for the rest of my life. Like, I know that's how this is going to go.
Kind of like Kyle Brown is doing it right now.
Right.
After that segment with DJ, kind of like Kyle Brown's eating it right now.
Wow. There's no way Kyle's up this early and listening. No chance. He doesn't start listening till he gets in the car about 8:15. So I think you're pretty safe on that one. But regardless, Brock, you did have Jonah Monheim as a draft profile already, and then DJ brought him up as a guard that has about as much first step quickness as anybody. So it makes me even more excited to hear who you got for us today.
The Seattle Seahawks select.
This is Brock Heward's draft profile.
You want traits? Check. You want a vocal leader? Check.
At the end of the day, you have to say, okay, what's best for the organization? Can you make people around you better, and can you bring people together?
Every day leading up to the draft.
Well, every one of my guys so far has done those things. They've been vocal leaders. They've been the captains of their team. They elevate everybody else. It's just like that's the first thing on their resume, on their header. A little different today for prospect number 12. He is a tight end. He's an Oregon Duck via Denver, Colorado. His name is Terrance Ferguson. And for you out there keeping check, that's 4 Ducks. 2 Ducks out of the first 5, 40% of my draft profiles here have been Oregon Ducks. So no bias here, and there's not going to be a Husky. Carson Bruner, I apologize, is not on my list here, although he could be drafted in the 5th or 4th or 6th or somewhere late to somebody, maybe even here too, the Seattle Seahawks. But he's about the only prospect. Oregon's got a bunch of them. D linemen, O linemen, DBs, linebackers, all over the place. They're kind of like Washington was last year. They're going to have 10 guys drafted, and one of them is going to be Terrance Ferguson. And I wouldn't mind seeing it here to Seattle, Salky, because he's a lot of what Noah Fant was supposed to be. Now, Noah Fant went in the first round. I mean, Noah Fant just freakishly built. Right? And when you see him in person, you're like, man, that guy should be Tony Gonzalez. 6'6", 260, runs 4.6. Like, he checks every measurable there is. And then when you see it on the field, you're like, where is that? I need more of that. Where is the yards after catch? When can I see your speed come to life? Well, Terrance Ferguson, you saw it come to life. Terrance Ferguson at the combine, 6'5.5", 250 pounds, 33-inch arms. He ran a 4.63, a 1.55 first 10, which is off the charts for a guy of that length. The only way you do that is to be explosive. Oh, by the way, he jumped 39 inches. I saw Terrance Ferguson a lot over the last 3 years. He became Oregon's all-time leading pass catcher as a tight end, over 120 receptions there down in Eugene. He also had 134 receptions. He also broke the all-time tight end record for touchdowns with 16. In the red zone, you just couldn't really guard him. You know what else he did? Played a lot of football. And this year, on my draft profiles, you know what you're going to see? And actually, DJ mentioned a couple names of more linemen that you're going to hear me talk about. Josh Gray down there in Corvallis as well. You're going to hear me talk about guys that have played a lot of football. Not a flash in the pan, Shamar Stewart down there at Texas A&M. Not guys that I'm just blown away by their measurables. I want guys that have played and been productive and been record setters in their big Power 5 programs like Terrance Ferguson. Dude has played 53 games, 38 starts. Missed 2 games last year with an appendectomy and came back and played. Dude has been available. The dude posts. Last year it was during a game, and I'm very careful about doing this. And not because of the noise I hear afterwards. Oh, that was an idiot. That's hyperbole. You're so stupid. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Travis Kelce. But I just kept watching this guy play. And he's got like this, you know, when you watch Kelce play, Kelce's got like this shoulder roll, right? He's just got this forward lean. Like everything he does is like always moving forward. And he's a big guy. Travis Kelce, I gave you Ferguson's measurements. Travis Kelce at the combine was 6'5". This kid's 6'5.5". Kelce was 255. This guy was 250. Kelce jumped 35. This guy jumped 39. Kelce ran 4.61. This guy ran 4.63. They're almost the exact same humanoid physically in that regard, and they move the same way. This guy catches it and does damage. He is smooth at that size, and well, here was one of those smooth touchdowns versus Michigan State.
Pump and go. It's a screen. It's Ferguson. Wide open.
open grazing space. Terrance Ferguson still going. At the 21, he finally falls.
So you brought in a blocking tight end. Noah Fant's got a big number on his contract that's sitting out there for this fall. You obviously love A.J. Barner. But you know what this system needs? Tight ends. And not one of them, not two of them, not three of them, like four of them. And is a pass-catching, difference-making in the open field, up the seam, on corners, on sail routes, on nakeds, on shallow crosses. This is not a catch-and-fall-down guy. This is a catch-and-do-damage guy. And if he's there in the third or fourth round, I'd love to see Terrance Ferguson. A Seattle Seahawks.
So a couple questions. One that you just answered. Third, fourth round. So you're talking about a mid-round pick, which would be a good spot for them to get a tight end.
Yes.
Secondly,
and by the way, he may or may not have gone on a date with Haley Heward. He may or may not have gone on one date with Haley Heward. So just, again, kind of a personal attachment to a lot of these things. That was back in the day. So way back in the day. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just way back in the day. So.
I mean, just getting married soon. I don't know that we want to start dredging up the past.
Oh, he just went on one little friendly date. It was no big
What did we think
deal.
of him?
Yeah,
obviously it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's just, it was one friendly little date.
All right, so we just want to, that's sort of like when an editor has to put in like a little editor's note, like, FYI, I make money off of this product or something like that. Like, just FYI,
this is payola.
My daughter went out with this guy one time.
I just want to pay off that, I've got maybe a little more proximity to some of these guys than others do. That's it.
Okay, fair. Quick question then, because you talked a lot about his pass receiving ability.
Not the best blocker.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be, if you've got a Gronk.
I'm just looking at the picture of him. He doesn't look like the best blocker.
If you got a Gronk and a Kelsey, he's the Kelsey.
Okay.
And, you've got kind of a couple Gronks already. AJ can block and brought in a blocking tight end, and you're going to need somebody that can catch and run, and this guy can catch and run.
All right, so there you go. Brock's latest profile, Terrance Ferguson out of Oregon. All right, okay, good to know.
What did you say?
Huh? Have you ever watched that SNL, Terrance Ferguson? Oh,
No.
that's the whole Burt Reynolds thing.
Oh, are you serious?
Oh, that's the Burt Reynolds
Jeopardy?
bit. Celebrity
It's so
Jeopardy.
good.
Oh, that's
We'll find you some Terrance
It's
Ferguson.
Neil,
Julia Gulia?
Huh?
Oh, nothing.
It's the guy doing it's Norm Macdonald. Isn't
yeah,
it?
he just passed away.
Yeah, it's Norm Macdonald doing his impression.
Terrance Ferguson. It's a funny name.
Funny hat. Terrance Ferguson. All right.
He's pretending to be Burt Reynolds.
It's funny hat. All right. That's Brock's draft profile. We'll do Blue 88 a little bit later. Sorry, things are a little weird today. We'll do that at 8:45 after Shannon Drayer joins us in 20 minutes. Talk about their big announcement. A lot coming up. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob. Weekdays 2 to 7.
The Mariners making a move to lock up part of their core in Cal Raleigh. This is somebody you drafted, you developed, one of the great catchers in the game. You keep that guy around. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He's everything you'd want in a player. He's everything you'd hope when you draft a young player that they're going to turn into something close to this. And you got it.
Cal could probably get a lot more money on the open market, but he wants to stay here. I think Mariner fans are going to love him forever.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Ewart here, and I have had my share of some sports injuries over the years. In fact, as we're leading up to this draft in 3 weeks, it is a huge part of the final weeks leading up to this draft as teams all around the league will look at players, look at their background, look at their injury history, and frankly, a lot of guys sadly don't get drafted because of those injuries, and then they get to be, 49 years old like I will be in 2 weeks, and they start to feel the wear and the tear and the aches and the pains. And if you're in that boat, you need to go see my buddy, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. You don't have to be a pro football player to know about the pains of arthritis. Many of you wake up which is chronic joint pain on a daily basis that is affecting your quality of life, then please do yourself a favor. Give Dr. Dan a call this morning at 425-823-4000, because you have to understand this has been his business for a long time. Many have jumped aboard the regenerative pain medicine business over the last decade. Not Dr. Daniel Nelson. This has been his game for over 30 years. His experience is off the charts. His tool bag of how he can help you handle that pain on a day-to-day basis is good as it gets. So give him a call at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
The madness is still on at Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland to get you the best deals on your new ride. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory with the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey friends, Stacey Rost here. Who has some of the best deals on new Fords and Isuzus in the Pacific Northwest? Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Who has a large selection of the highest quality used vehicles in the Pacific Northwest? That would also be Wayscar Ford in Auburn. And what dealership promises no games, no gimmicks, and never any pressure to purchase? Yes, that is correct. It's Wayscar Ford in Auburn still. Who's the only Ford dealer in all of Washington to offer a 5-day or 500-mile, no questions asked, 100% money-back return policy? Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They offer free lifetime powertrain warranty on virtually all of their new Fords. Who's the only dealer that will purchase your used car, pay you right up front, and then once they resell your old car, return 50% of the profit to you? Only Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They've given over $750,000 back to customers who have sold them their cars. And finally, what dealership has been family-owned and operated in Auburn for over 103 years? You guessed it, Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Visit them at wayscarford.com.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on seattlesports.com.
It's the World Fighting Championships at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center. Saturday night, May 10th. Experience the thrill of live MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss this exciting mixed martial arts event. The World Fighting Championships, May 10th at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Hey, baseball fans, Rick Riz here. I'm excited to introduce you to my good friend Keith Dashafy, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Keith?
Thanks, Rick. At Pella Windows and Doors, we pride ourselves on delivering top-quality windows and doors that enhance the beauty and energy efficiency of your home. Our products are built to last with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. Whether you're looking to upgrade your windows or install new doors, Pella has you covered.
That's fantastic, Keith. Don't wait. Schedule your free appointment today at PellaPNW.com.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, he didn't get the opening day start, but Luis Castillo sure was responsible for the biggest win of this young season. Mariners kind of needed that one yesterday. After dropping the first 2 games of the series against Detroit, you're staring a 2-5 homestand in the face. And instead, the guy who was not named the opening day starter went out and totally shoved. 7 innings, just 2 runs. It's exactly what they needed from him.
I mean, that was really a veteran effort right there. And you know, he really fell
felt it and got through those innings and got through them quickly too. Very efficient in terms of pitches and was going at him, but had great stuff and really didn't give him anything to hit. And that was big. I think that's when you see a veteran do that, you get a sense of what a veteran means, and that's what a veteran means. What we saw today.
Just watching Luis yesterday, he did not have a ton of strikeouts. He didn't have as many as Logan did, even in the 5 innings Logan threw the night before.
Mm-hmm.
But he threw a lot of two-seamers. And what does a two-seamer do for him? In addition to all the swings and misses it generated, gets a lot of ground ball outs. It's going to get outs by allowing a little bit of contact, but not solid contact. And that's how he was able to get 7 innings deep yesterday, which is what the team needed.
It certainly was. And, we talked in the opening segment about, maybe what looked different. We'll have Shannon Drayer on here. She's got a cool announcement, which will be going on all season long. Mm-hmm. And we can ask her the same question that we tried to answer earlier, and that is, how much different did it look? How much different did this philosophy, did we see it come to life? How did it come to life? How did this 162 battles, maybe that yesterday by Luis was just a little bit of an indicator. Mm-hmm. You need me to go 7 so we don't get swept, right? How many times did he go 7 innings plus last year? Not many. Most of them were 5 2/3, 6 1/3. He took that ball and he went out there and he got through 7, because I think that was one of those battles that you needed to win. You did not want to get swept and have a 2-5 homestand. Feel a little differently getting on that plane 3-4 heading to the Bay Area than you do, I think, getting swept in your own building.
Well, I don't know if they had another reliever really ready to go. I mean, those two were the 2 high leverage relievers that were left. That's really all you had time for yesterday, and thankfully they got just enough offense. Dylan Moore ended up having a heck of a game.
Here's the pitch to Dylan. Swung on, lifted, right field, hit well. Carpenter back, he's at the track, he's going back, makes a leap at the wall. It is in the seats. Solo home run, Dylan Moore. Drives it the other way out against Terrance. The Mariners add to the lead. It is 3-0 Mariners.
Yeah, that ended up being the winning run as they gave up a couple of runs after that. Dylan Moore had a really nice play in the 9th inning to seal the game. So the Mariners get the win. They will now get the day off today. They go to San Francisco for the weekend, a rare 1:30 Friday start tomorrow, since the Giants have their home opener.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
The tush push, Brock, Mike McDonald is in favor of it. Said at the meetings, the spring meetings here, that it's a good play. He understands the positions people have with the health and safety of it. Don't want to put players in risk, but seems like there's enough plays where we feel like that isn't the case right now. I think it's a good play. You've got to defend it, and maybe we'll execute it one day.
Because that is the flip side of it. And I've heard that argument. I've told you I don't love it. I think there's, especially when the guy's lined up right behind, you don't allow that defensively. You don't allow that on block kicks. You don't allow that for defenders for a reason, because there is an extra impetus. There is an extra advantage that you do gain. But if that's the case, then why can't other offenses do it as efficiently? It's only Buffalo and Philly that run that thing really successfully. You see other people try. They can't seem to do it the way they do it. So, yeah, if you can't stop it, join them. And Sam Darnold's a physical guy. He's a strong guy. He's capable of doing that. So offensively, find a way to be better at it yourselves.
He also said he'd like to have some more joint practices. Enjoyed that last week with Tennessee, and maybe even a home and away.
Yes.
Morris said, how about the Chargers?
Yes.
Can we get Jim Harbaugh up here?
What's your deal?
That'd be great.
Speaking of a deal, Salk, your guy from New England.
Joe Milton?
Yeah.
I know. He's
the Cowboys
went for nothing. So I got to imagine Joe Milton's actually not good. If he went along with a 7th rounder for a 5th rounder when the Patriots didn't need to trade him,
right,
he's not worth anything.
Yeah,
so there's got to be something going on there where they just wanted him out of the building. And if he's going to the Cowboys of all places, that makes me even more suspicious about that whole thing.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Nothing suspicious yesterday, though, about the way the Kraken dominated in Vancouver. They were quick, creative, physical, counterattacking, put the puck in the net. 5-0 they win yesterday. I played you Shane Wright's 18th goal of the season earlier. This one came just before that.
Hudson Rice, Jared McCann moved along Burakovsky. Here's Stevenson. Right in. He scores! That's hockey, baby!
Almost the exact same goals. They both went high glove side. Let's see. Simont, Wright, Burakovsky, Stevenson, Larson, all with goals yesterday.
Not getting a lot done this season, those Kraken, but at least they owned Vancouver. Papa, Daddy, father, dad, owned you, Canucks. That's the only thing we can
There is
claim
that.
this year.
And Shane Wright developing. 18 goals for Shane Wright. Pretty good season, actually. A lot better than I think I would have expected. That's everything you need to know. You mentioned the Papa thing. I asked these guys earlier, what do you think of the... I always forget. Are you and Molly a terms of endearment couple? Like, do you say babe or honey or sweetie or anything like
Love, sweetheart.
that? Do you?
Honey.
See, I'm not into that, really. But okay, fine. Like, that's your deal. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. That's
Hottie.
what do you think of people who say mama? And I don't mean like when you're talking
for their wife.
Wife with your kids, fine, I understand that. But I'm talking more like, hey, mama. Like, that's terrible. It's an awful way to describe something. Like, why? Hey, I'm kind of attracted to you. I'm going to refer to you as being like my mom.
Yeah,
Like,
you know.
no.
You know when Mama lost me? Throw Mama from the train. That woman scared the what out of me.
The woman from Goonies?
Oh. She's a scary, scary woman. So any connotation to
That's
mama.
what you think of?
would have called
Yes.
women mama if it wasn't for that?
If it wasn't for that, mama's totally normal. But
Yeah,
once
the
you see
mamas and
throw
the
mama
papas.
from the train,
Yes. Once you see that, deal with that. Nope.
well, if you're gonna start talking about the mamas and the papas, and then we've got to get into Michelle Phillips, and that's a whole different conversation for another day. All right, coming up next, Shannon Drayer joins us. She did have a great, huge, cool announcement yesterday. She'll tell us a little bit more about it. You guys will hear it next on Brock and Salk.
The John Schneider Show.
With Wyman and Bob.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
When you guys bring in free agents, then they leave and you don't sign them, probably unique to each one. But is it just something you learn in that conversation that you go, okay.
Yeah, a lot of different reasons. It could be medical, it could be personality, financial, how they're going to be a fit in the building, how much they love football, what kind of worker are they. Yeah, there's a whole interview process that I don't want to give out, actually.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at seattlesports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
All right, Mike Salk here, and let's talk about losing weight this time of year because everyone is doing it. I've dropped my weight. Ryan Rowland-Smith, friend of the program, big league pitcher. He's lost 30 pounds in just about 60 days. And then I love this text I got the other day. I think it was on opening day. Said, haven't felt optimistic in a very long time, but you've been so transparent about your journey. So I finally decided to try Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I'm actually excited. Thank you. Well, I hope it goes as well for you as it did for me, as it did for Ryan, as it has for thousands of others in our area. Honestly, Eastside Weight Loss Clinic works because it's a great program, because the food is healthy. It's real. That you buy at the grocery store. It's not prepackaged. There's no pills, no injections, nothing like that. You're not that hungry while you're doing it, and you will absolutely watch the weight fall off. It all starts with a 15-minute phone consult, just like the one that I did. You got to schedule it at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Join me, join Ryan, join many others. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Get ready, because Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and POD this summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. Go to snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. That's Revive, REVIBE, menshealth.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Weird schedule today. We've moved some things around because Daniel Jeremiah joined us earlier. If you missed any of that conversation, get ready for the draft with DJ. You can go find that seattlesports.com or the Seattle Sports app. That's where you can always read Shannon Drayer, our Mariners insider, who joins us right now. Good morning, Shannon. How are you?
Good morning. I'm up. It's early. I think everything's going okay.
Are you, you guys didn't fly yesterday, did you?
No, we'll fly this afternoon.
Okay, so they want the off day here, which kind of makes sense given the short flight down to San Francisco. And you got to join Wyman and Bob yesterday for a big announcement. Can you tell the people who haven't heard yet what you're going to be doing? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic, but we are going to have a weekly Cal Raleigh show, and it will air on Wyman and Bob on Thursdays at 5 o'clock, and it'll be sitting down with Cal, and not always sitting down, mind you. I've got some ideas that will involve some other things, but really just kind of give us full access to what he has to say. And we'll get into, what he does. We'll get into the pitchers. We'll get into, a check on where the team is at times. We know that Cal is very open with his thoughts. That's kind of a big part of him being here, I believe, is that he can be that guy and he can be comfortable in saying things and what he sees. So we're going to have that opportunity, and we'll do some fun things too. There's going to be some walk and talks. I think we're going to get into different spots in the ballpark and do some things. But it'll be just a really good opportunity that you don't usually see in baseball. We are talking 6 months every Thursday, having that conversation. So it'll be an opportunity to really follow along, check back in on things, and really get a little further into things that you don't always get the opportunity to do so with.
I don't want to offend you, Shannon, but if I remember correctly, at Top Pot, don't make that face, Salk, at Top Golf, you were a lefty swinging the golf clubs, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when you were playing some softball, what were you a pitcher? Did you spin some stuff up there? Was a left-handed pitcher?
No.
Oh no. Okay, what were you back in the day?
I was an infielder.
An infielder. Okay. So I was thinking I thought maybe we could do a little, pitch and catch with Cal at some point on one of these shows, kind of, or play a little infield for him, fire some shots to home base. What do you think?
You're looking for an opportunity to laugh here, so I don't know. or for me to get injured. I don't know if that's a good idea.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. Why Cal, by the way, of the different players? I know obviously he signs an extension, but for you, I think this is the first time, to have a weekly show like this, certainly on Afternoon Drive as well. Why was Cal the right person?
No, well, Cal is, what did Ryan Divish call him? The conscience of the team. He is definitely heart, soul, sometimes the brain, sometimes the mouth of the team. This is somebody who is, and also, let's go ahead and take into consideration everything that he does on a daily basis. And he was willing and excited, I'll go ahead and say, to do this, to find time in his week to sit down and talk. And it's, another thing about him, and this again played into the decision that he made, is it's the fans. I mean, he wants to share things, and he wants to be a part of the community. He wants people to hear from him, and he's not just talking about, in the clubhouse and in the organization, but he wants to provide that look and help bring the team closer as well. So I just think that, he is the perfect person for it. He is willing to do it. And I think that the fact that he will find that time, which isn't easy, his day, he's got longer days than anybody on that team, I think is a really, really remarkable thing and a great opportunity.
Can't wait till you got to walk over to him. Day in August, dog days, the last thing in the world he wants to do is this. And he's like, I agreed to this. Thank God I like talking to Shannon, because that's going to be one of those. You just know that there's going to be one of those, right? Because he's a baseball player.
And he's a catcher, and his body hurts. Oof.
Man.
But Shannon's a great teammate. Shannon's exactly the one that needs to walk right over there and make it happen.
Be there just to pick him up at that point. Right? No, you know what, though? I mean, that's part of it.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want him to feel like that in August, but if we do have that situation, it's an opportunity. One of the things that I do want to ask is, a little bit more of the what does it feel like? What does it feel like in August? What does it feel like when you take, baseball off of the mask? What does it feel like to try and catch the Andres Munoz slider, or if he ever throws it again, the kick change, things like that. So, it's part of the deal. Baseball is every day. We're going to have a chance once every 7 days to get a real good snapshot of that. And I think it'll help to keep things interesting. And, the team, sure, there are going to be things with the game, but also just the opportunity to ask those questions. And, the first show, which comes up tonight, a lot of this will be about team, but what was the biggest story last week? Well, it was Cal. So the first show is pretty much dedicated to, getting a little bit more into the process of why he made the decision that he made. And just what I thought was fascinating was, he knew this all along in spring training. What was that like? He commented on that in the press conference. It made for a very interesting spring. Well, how do you juggle that? Just kind of things like that, and the ability to have a little bit more in different situations, a little bit more behind the scenes with a guy who I think is often very, very willing to share and perhaps go that extra step and give that look. I think it's going to be a neat thing.
You mentioned 7 days. It's 7 days now into this baseball season. What were your biggest observations from the first homestand?
I think it is, as most seasons are, an adjustment, which, in some aspects, because you're given a vision in spring training, and one of the things that Dan Wilson wanted to see was, we're ready to go right out of the gate. And I think they are ready to go, but I think that, that was kind of, we want to be a little bit more than we have seen in the previous years. Not that they weren't ready to go, but perhaps maybe better equipped to win along those lines early. And we saw struggles early, and that's going to happen. Physically, is everybody ready? Absolutely. People showed up in spring training ready. So I think we're seeing more adjustments than I thought, but also, we're also seeing some things play out that it is a little bit difficult to manage what they have in that infield. Who's going to play when? We're seeing sometimes, the decisions that are made in large part are the same when you look at some things, and in others it's okay, that is a little bit different in that direction, and playing this guy on that day, or not pinch hitting here, or going to this arm, that's a little different. Well, how much of that is because you're getting into a season and everybody needs to play, or relievers aren't always back to back right at the beginning, things like that. So for me, I think it has been a huge week of adjustment. And, I think the other thing, and this became apparent yesterday, we knew third base was going to be something you had to keep an eye on going into the season. But Dylan Moore made a critical play in the ninth inning last night, or yesterday afternoon. And I think that we're seeing how important that is. We're learning that, we learned a little bit more that Jorge Polanco is still stretching that arm out. How do you get him to where he needs to be? And also at the same time, have opportunities. Would Dylan Moore have been in that game in the ninth inning if Polanco had not been on paternity leave? Probably, but you want to be able to do that early in the game too. So to me, an observation is that puzzle is as much of a puzzle right now as it was a week ago, which of course it's just a week, so I think that does make some sense. But more adjustments than anything else, I think.
Shannon, we know that hitting a $172 and 593 OPS as a team is not sustainable offensively. I am kind of curious there, in all your years of covering these Mariners, have you ever seen a team with as many moving parts on the infield, right? How many? 3 different first basemen, right? With Tellez and Rayleigh and Solano playing third base, and in the different moving pieces at third base as well. Do you think you can play sustainable, good defense if you move those puzzle pieces around as much as they certainly did in the first 7 games?
I don't think so. I think if you have sustainable good defense, you're probably not. Well, no, that's not true. I mean, if you do, they could still make the choice. Are they doing that for offense, or are they doing that for defense? You're kind of, it's kind of one or the other right now in who you put over there. Except you also have the opportunity to perhaps use that DH spot a little bit more. If Polanco, would it benefit him to spend a little bit more time over at DH right now, or maybe even put him over there for a couple of weeks while he works on some things that he wasn't able to do in spring training because it wasn't a full go until very late. I don't, that's a decision that they can make. But no, I do think that's tough. That's why it's not easy to be a Dylan Moore, and you don't see very many Dylan Moores in the game that can play every position or a different position every day, and at that level. So I do think that is something. Over at first base, is that tough for Rowdy Tellez, who's only playing first base in DH? No, he's only been a first baseman, and so that's not much of an adjustment for him. But, for a Luke Rayleigh, who did not get a lot of reps at first base in spring training, maybe he needs more over there if you are going to play him there a significant amount. And I think just, in the heads of the players, that would be helpful too. You look over at second base where you've pretty much planted Ryan Bliss, and maybe you're being rewarded for that a little bit with the defensive play. We are seeing him much better defensively this year than we did last year, and I think some of that is confidence and some of that is repetition. But knowing that he's going to be over there quite a bit, not having to worry if I don't make this play, something is going to happen. Perhaps that helps. But I do think that I know that Dan Wilson. You like a solidified lineup, everyday lineup. I think you probably like that in the field too. So, yeah, I think the more they can stabilize where people are playing, I think the more that's going to help them.
It's not necessarily a huge issue, but it kind of baffled us a little bit yesterday, so I figured I'd ask. What did you make of the decision to send Emerson Hancock down, knowing that it means he's got to now miss, 15 days and a couple of starts, and they'll probably need to go with either Jonathan Diaz or Casey Lawrence? I don't know. It seemed like maybe they could have just sent down Saucedo for a couple of weeks and brought up another reliever.
Yeah, a couple of things, and really haven't had the opportunity to ask too many questions because I wasn't there yesterday. That caught everybody off guard. Okay. I mean, everybody assumed that's when you flush and you get another start. So the question is, was there something they didn't like that they saw with Hancock, or did options come into play with that? And I would throw another thing in there because, there was an arm that they were pretty high on in spring training in Casey Legamina. Why wouldn't you just bring him up? Well, maybe he's working on something right now. And they've done that the last couple of years, is that guys, they've gone straight to work in Tacoma and are doing something, and maybe they don't want to upset that right away. Maybe, but, do you sacrifice a spot in the rotation for that? I don't know. So there are a lot of things that come into play, like who's going to start that game? Well, they're not. I don't think they're going to do a bullpen game. Are they going to bring up a Casey Lawrence? I don't know. Would they bring up a Logan Evans? Well, it seems that he's got a lot to work on. Is that how you want to start him out? Or are you looking at a situation where you push everybody a day, which I know is not the desired path? That's not what they've done the last few years. They have essentially been able, like a guy like Brian Wu, the first half of last year pretty much pitched on a 6-day schedule. And a lot of them got that extra day, and it benefited most of them. I want to say it might have been Castillo that did better when he didn't have that, but most of them had that 6 days. So do you really want to kind of push your rotation right out of the gates, even if it's just for one start? I don't know. There are a lot of factors that play into it, but it was a surprise. It did appear that there was an easier move to be made.
Yeah, definitely an odd one. One we'll watch. Shannon, thank you. As always, our conversations with Shannon are always brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. And you can read her, seattlesports.com or the Seattle Sports app, or you can listen to the Cal Raleigh Show with Shannon Drayer with Wyman and Bob today at 5:30.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, excuse me. 5 o'clock every Thursday, the Cal Raleigh Show. Sorry about that. Shannon, thank you as always. We'll talk soon. Have a good road trip.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. The great Shannon Drayer, and a lot of interesting stuff in there, Brock. Yeah, I'm with her. I'm kind of confused by the whole Emerson Hancock thing. We'll see. It'll shake out, I'm
you
sure.
think the old man Muppets, do you think they bake blondies for her since, like she's
covering like
every week,
part of their show?
Yeah, Cal Raleigh Show on their show.
Oh, she better generate ratings with that thing, or they might be coming after her. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there'll be tension between the two sides. I don't know. All right, we are on a weird schedule today, so we're going to do an hour late version of Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewert breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, Brock, this is where we ask you 3 good football questions, generally at 7:45, but we had a nice long conversation with Daniel Jeremiah there, so we moved this around a little bit. Let's start with this. We've talked about quarterbacks and the idea that there is no middle class of quarterbacks anymore. Is there one this year?
Well, that's been the precedent of the last few years, as we chatted with Daniel Jeremiah and have over the last 12 months. And not just DJ saying that. Most of the folks that put these Field Yates and others put these mock drafts together and talk about it say, yeah, unfortunately the Kaepernicks and the Daltons and those second rounders, that's not a thing anymore, right? Because of the advantage of that rookie contract and having him for 5 years, many have reached into that first round to take those guys. I do think it's going to be a little different this year. And not just Daniel Jeremiah saying, hey, man, they may push to the second round. Here's our buddy Matt Miller talking about the return of the middle class.
Man, Tyler Shuck from Louisville is the name that you hear the most, and it's wild because I was talking to a scout today who said that they had Tyler Shuck as their 3rd quarterback and Jackson Dart as their 4th, which goes against all the hype and all the buzz that we're hearing, right? But each team's going to have their own ranking of these quarterbacks based on their scheme and where their team is at as well. So Tyler Shuck is certainly up there. I love Will Howard as that guy. Like, if I'm going to take a swing, if I'm a team late 2nd round, if I had to put my stamp on a quarterback outside of the top 3, I would probably take Will Howard, but I could talk myself into Kyle McCord. I could talk myself into Quinn Ewers. With time, you could like things about Jalen Milroe. So this year, it's fun because we have a middle class at quarterback.
We do. And that's why in that 3rd or 4th or 5th round and where the Seahawks certainly have a lot of capital, Salk, I would not mind seeing them take a middle round quarterback to push Sam Howell. Not a great year for Sam last year. Preseason wasn't particularly great. Some of the practices, especially when Geno sat out, were not particularly great. The game action that he played, not particularly great. I do think this system fits his movement, his on the run, his play action game a little better than Grubb's system did. But I'll tell you, the guy of all of those that would be intriguing to me in the 4th or 5th round would be Jalen Milroe. If I'm going to do that and I'm going to take a flyer, because I've committed to Sam Howell, as you heard DJ say, I want to give Sam Darnold every opportunity. And if there's guards and receivers and Cam Scadaboo and other people, I want to give him pieces to help him and help that offense. But if Jalen Milroe, because he can't throw, is hanging around there in the 4th or 5th round, that dude can run. And there's just not many guys built like, you want to run the tush push with somebody that is the equivalent strength and power, right? Our 3rd and 1's big, our 4th and 1's big. Somebody that could actually do that, I think, hyper effectively. Somebody that can get out on nakeds and play action and run and have a two-way go and do some damage, and maybe see if you can develop him and grow him enough as a passer that he could be a backup. I think I'd take a flyer on Milroe more so than I would some of those other finished products.
All right, question number 2. I'm excited for this, Brock. Please end this once and for all, because this name keeps being mocked to the Seahawks, and I know that I don't like it and you don't like it, but maybe for different reasons.
And I hate killing kids. I do. And they're still kids until they become pros. I hate doing this. And if they take them at 18, Salk, as you said, right? So they take somebody and he becomes DK Metcalf plus and a difference maker and a star. Like, oh my gosh, you were such an idiot. But Tetairoa McMillan would be the hardest for me. It would just be the most difficult. You heard Jason Benetti earlier in the week talk about him, and he was like, man, we so excited. We watched a lot of the highlight films, and you see the jumping ability and the high point. The dude, is a volleyball player. His high school volleyball tape was Karch Karai, out of this world. He was unbelievable.
Nice.
And you see some production with Jed Fish, actually. He had an amazing, amazing year. And last year was really disappointing. And then see it in person and just the lack of any physicality. And then I sent you the little clip, the little picture of him saying, I don't like watching game tape. I don't really like watching football. I watch enough of it in my position meetings. That does not fly.
It doesn't sit well with you?
It doesn't sit well with me, and I cannot imagine a Mike McDonald who said to you and me and everybody till he's blue in the face, you know what I want? Guys in the building that talk ball, that love ball, that can't get enough of ball. I love guys that are physical. That's why, put up with a lot of, I think, some of the antics of a DK and otherwise, because that dude loved ball. He loved playing. He was physical. You take the 18th pick in the draft, in no world can I imagine that being Tetairoa McMillan.
Well, with that kind of attitude, he's already in Arizona. Maybe he could go be the quarterback of the Cardinals.
Yeah. Don't like watching film.
Question number 3. Speaking of Mike McDonald, Brock, how is he evolving in year 2 here?
Yeah, there was some cool tape yesterday I saw, again, on Hawk Blogger's little podcast last night. He played to me from the scrum where Dugar asked him some pretty tough and pointed questions about Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And, hey, DK said on this podcast with Mike Robb and Marshawn that, he felt like he wasn't heard. Really tough questions that a year ago, I don't know how Mike would have handled that. I mean, he probably would have danced around it, but I really appreciated the way that he had vulnerability, yet a spine. And I said to the boys last night, that's what we felt over 17 weeks of doing shows with him, right? He was always hyper vulnerable, maybe almost to a fault early of I don't really know what I don't know. And I'm really a learning process with all of this. But as the season went on, as transactions were made, as conversations were had, as tough, conversations and questions were fired his way, you could feel kind of that spine being built. That's as far as we're going to take that. Yep. I appreciate DK, having his feelings, and he's entitled to them. But you know what? I also got an A on that grade sheet. He didn't say it. I'm saying it for him, as a coach with the players, because I think he was real. I think he was consistent. I don't think he was wavering. I think he had a spine. And I think in the years to come, as the head coach of the Seahawks, we'll feel more and more and more of that as the head man.
Good stuff. All right, that is today's Blue 88, a little bit of a late version of Blue 88. 253 has sent in, Brock, a list of things Mike Salk doesn't care for. Would you like to go through it with me? Because I don't think all of them are true.
Does it sound like a segment in 4 minutes? Can we put music behind it? Is there enough juice?
I mean,
to it?
I guess we could.
I kind of would like that.
Let me see how many are on here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 things on this list.
That kind of sounds like a 253.
The thing is, I'm looking at it. One. I think there's only one thing. 2.
Of 15?
Maybe 3. It's less than 5. Of the 15 things, I think that I like most of these things. I'm kind of shocked that this text came in at all.
The good news is we'll have a chance to put the right kind of bed of music behind it. Lyle will figure that out. He's so good on the 1s and the 2s.
Yeah.
And we can
I'm sure
work through
Lyle
that.
knows Ugly Kid Joe's I Hate Everything About You. I'm sure that's been a big part of his life, just like it was for me.
Good. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Brock, they're not going to draft a wide receiver at 18, right? We're going to go through mocks at 9:30. There's a bunch of mock drafts out. You asked DJ about it. I was overjoyed to hear DJ just be like, what? No, don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bad idea, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's not a player for me that I can kind of wrap it around and say, yeah, this guy's a bona fide, like, dude. Now there is, and they're in the 2nd and 3rd round, and I'm going to profile them over the next couple of weeks. The kid out of Iowa State, the kid out of TCU.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't take them with the 18th pick. You take them where you took Tyler Lockett. You take them where you came up in the draft and took DK Metcalf with those big tears in his eyes. That's where you take those guys, and not just for the value of it, but because of the needs of other things. By the way, how much did you appreciate DJ kind of saying what he said about, how these teams put together their grades?
Yeah, the best
and then
available.
they're based on their roster. So it really is best available.
Yeah, that
and
was
biggest
great.
need.
He did tend to agree with what I said yesterday and wrote about yesterday as well, which is just the impact of the position. If you got a few minutes and you have a chance to read it, it's actually a short column I wrote last night. It's up at seattlesports.com. I'll give you a little sense as to, just the idea of drafting for impact. Tomorrow, if you got the Seattle Sports app, of course, you can leave us a voicemail for Here's the Thing. Maura will be putting those together, and we will play them tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Huh?
We do that.
But that's supposed to be today.
That was supposed to be today.
Oh my gosh.
I thought today was when. I think the DJ
we'll
thing
do a
threw us
Friday
off.
edition tomorrow. I think it did too.
DJ threw us off.
Because then we moved Brock's.
why are we
we
doing
have Brock's draft profile. We were trying to figure out where to
why are
move
we
Blue
doing
88.
why are we doing my
That
draft
is weird.
profile?
Hey,
I
it
know.
is Thursday.
Well, we can
Thursday,
extend
so-
the deadline, see if we can get a really good
All right,
edition.
a
of Here's
rare
the Thing.
Friday at 9 o'clock edition
We
of Here's the
forgot
Thing.
about Here's the
All
Thing.
of
Maura.
That's my fault. I
Yeah, that's your
apologize.
fault. You know what? We don't like to blame Maura for
That's on
things.
me.
That one's on her. That one's all Maura.
It really is.
That's really on Maura. All right.
She's not even pointing a finger. She's
No.
putting like all of
So
them
you know
right
it's
back to
really on
herself. She's
Maura.
being a thumb.
You know how hard it is to point my finger at myself? My arm has to go out so far.
It actually goes all the way back around the world and comes back tomorrow. It's amazing how it works. All right, you want to hear 15 things that Mike
Yeah,
Salk doesn't care
I sure
for?
do.
This is a lie, and it's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy. Weekdays 10 to 2.
Abe Luke is going to be the most important player on this offense. Why? Because when he is available and he is playing, him and Charles Cross are going to hold it down. It's all about keeping the band together. And the band has been split up a lot over the past couple of years, right? We saw rookies play tackle. We saw rookies play guard. But when Abe and Charles Cross are playing together, those bookends hold it down. It's Abe Lucas, man.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates, and Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Everyone wants to get the best deal they can when they buy a car. But what about when you want to sell your car? Of course, you want to get the most money possible, but how do you get the most you can without trying to sell it yourself? Well, that's where my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn step in. Not only will they buy your car today, but that's just the beginning. Once they resell your old car, they send you another check for 50% of the profit of the sale of your old car. They've already given back over $750,000 to their customers. Mark, GM of Wayscar Ford, joins me, and it's such a great offer. But to clear up any confusion, is this like a consignment, and how can you offer this?
It's not a consignment, Stacy. A consignment, the dealer that's trying to sell your car hasn't paid you yet. We pay you right up front. No more insurance, no more maintenance. All that's gone. After that's done, we pay half the profit. It's that simple. There's no magic to this. All the money we're saving by not buying at auctions, the shipping fees and the travel, we're giving it back to you. That's how it works.
So get the most money possible at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn and let them do the work.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit VaxAssist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to accuse you of manager.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello!
9:30, we've got a whole bunch of mocks, Brock, to go through and see what it looks like from a Seahawk perspective. This came in a little bit ago from the 253. And I was surprised by it, and I thought I would bring it up. It says, Salk doesn't like terms of endearment. What a surprise, coming from a guy who thinks kissing your kid on the lips when they're little is gross. It is gross. It's disgusting. Don't kiss your kids in the lips.
Like terms of endearment, kissing your kids on the mouth when they're little, and you don't like memorabilia. You have no heart.
Yeah.
I'm not I cry all the time, though. Like, I can be very sentimental and stuff. About real things, not dolls. Like, I don't need dolls.
I'm talking memorabilia. Like, people
I don't need a nice Julio
have an
doll.
autograph from their favorite player. It doesn't have to be a doll.
Yeah. Autograph. Waste of time. Anyway, kissing your kids on the lip is gross. Kissing your parents on the lips is gross. But somebody wrote in, same person gave a list of 15 things Mike Salk doesn't care for, and I think a lot of these are wrong.
Okay.
Kisses. I like kisses, just not, my kids or my parents on the lips. Other than that, I'm pro-kiss. And I like Hershey kisses, too, just for good measure. You're wrong.
You never kissed your daughters on the lips?
Absolutely
even when they were
no,
2,
nay,
3,
never.
4, 5?
Nope, that is gross.
No, it's
not gross.
Disgusting.
Oh, my God. Do you kiss your dog on the mouth?
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, what?
That's different. That's totally different. That's totally different.
Oh, hairball.
I mean, I
Hairball.
do too, but my dog licks her butt. It's worse.
Well, Frenchies can't do that. They can't reach their butt. They're too squat. All right, number 2, hugs. Now, that's ridiculous. Anyone who knows me knows I love hugs.
Yeah.
Right?
That's wrong.
That
You
one's
do
just
like
straight wrong. I love hugs.
And in fact, you and Howdy, if
Great
you want
hugs.
to put teaching tape on what a bro hug really looks like, I mean, Howdy's the best hugger on earth.
Yeah.
He really is.
But I love hugs.
Huge, broad lats, kind of short arms. So he just gets in there, and he is a tremendous
That's
hugger.
true. That's good.
Yes.
That's true. He's built for a hug.
Are you evaluating physiques every time someone gives you a hug?
Yes, he does. Of course he does.
Just Howdy for 10 years, Maura. The best hugger on the
we got to
planet.
get through these. Hold on. Terms of endearment. You're kind of right on that. I'm not big on that.
Okay.
I don't know where this one comes from. Popsicles. I like a popsicle. Who doesn't like a popsicle? Rainbows. I can take or leave them, but rainbows are cool. Like when you're in Maui, you see rainbows. They're great.
Sure.
Flying kites, totally true. That's a waste of time. My wife always
I'm
wants
with
to
you
do
on
that, and I think it's incredibly boring and like much more pain in the butt than it's worth.
Same.
Community, stop. That's literally the opposite. You know how much I talk about community. Shaking hands? I'm into this isn't Bob Stelton. I like shaking hands. Greeting my neighbors? No, you're right on that one. I don't need a tremendous amount of neighbor
All right,
interaction.
so we're up to 4.
Yeah.
You
I'm
said
with you on
there's
that one too. I agree with you on a couple.
Easter. I don't like or not like Easter. I'm just not Christian. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't celebrate it, but I don't have a problem with Easter.
But what about Easter eggs, candy, Easter egg hunts?
But if you don't
Easter
celebrate,
bunny,
I don't celebrate the holiday.
Right, but I think there's a lot of non-Christians that celebrate Easter for all of the fringe
That's
Easter.
really not true.
You don't think so?
No. It's not like Christmas.
Well,
like
how'd
that.
you turn into Mr. Christmas? Okay.
Christmas is its own unique Americanized thing in that way. Easter is not. I'm sorry. It's a religious holiday.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
All right.
Kittens. Nobody likes kittens. They give you fleas. Disgusting.
So that's 5 you don't like. Okay.
All right, holding babies on his shoulder. I don't like
That's
that much
6.
either.
You don't like that?
I don't like when
So-
they spit up on you.
Uh-huh.
That's
Oh,
why
no,
you have to put some
there's
kind
not
of
more
toe
than 3 on here. There's certainly not more than 5. And let's see, we're
All
up
right,
to
but a
1,
lot
2,
of them
3,
were
4,
wrong.
5,
a
6.
lot of them were wrong.
Are we done?
No, there's a few more. Reading fiction to children. I get no problems with that. I loved reading to my kids when they were young.
Uh-huh.
There was one book, though. Whatever you do, if you have a young kid, do not get them started on, what's the one? The Little Engine That Could. It's so repetitive. Don't do that.
Dr. Seuss?
Picnics. I like a picnic.
Okay.
And camping, I've come around on.
Yeah. So we're at like 6.5.
Yeah, there wasn't that many. I mean, you
It's not a
missed a
bad
bunch.
list.
Where was Tom Hanks?
Yeah, where's memorabilia?
Where was memorabilia? Dolls.
Where's
Where
Jay
was The
Leno?
Office? Jay Leno. Where was Dumb and Dumber? Like, there's a lot of things other people like that I don't, but that was an okay list. I'm sure people could do better. All right.
Free agent O lineman.
I like them.
You love them, actually. Yes.
All right. Anyway, that's what we got. Thank you for playing Little Ugly Kid Joe this morning. 360 says Salk currently reminding me why I don't normally turn on 710 before 10 a.m. Oh, see, that's
Talk
not
sports.
nice.
Can we talk sports?
That's
Crying
just
out loud?
not. That's just not
Did you
nice.
see Harris in Spokane?
No.
Salk will have Gertie eating peanut butter out of his chest hair while his kids are in the doghouse.
You really think it's okay to kiss your kid? Remember, this became a big issue a few years ago because of Brady.
Tom
right?
Brady with his 15-year-old son.
So do you? Where do you draw the line then? Are you into the Alicia Silverstone thing where she chews the food and then spits it into her baby's mouths?
That's bizarre.
Because I think that's too far. It might as well be.
That's terrible.
Your mouth does not belong that close to your
kiss
kid's
your girls
mouth.
on the cheeks,
Of
right?
course.
Okay.
I'm incredibly affectionate, but I'm not. I don't believe in kissing my kids on the mouth. And I've never in my life kissed my parents on the mouth.
Yep.
There's no way my dad, or especially my dad, would kiss me on the mouth.
What do you think about that older generation that maybe took your face, like my grandmother did, like maybe a coach's wife did, like some of these grandmothers did, and grab your face and kiss you on the lips?
Yeah.
Is that problematic?
That didn't happen to me. I don't. No one in my family kissed people of different generations on the mouth.
Yeah, there's one former coach, prominent coach, and his wife was a lip kisser.
Huh.
And it was always,
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, in my view, the lips are reserved for your romantic partner, whoever that may be. That's always been my view of that kind of a kiss. It's reserved for your romantic partner.
Yeah, but you
boy,
just said
girl, like
you didn't
husband,
grow up with
wife.
your parents doing that, so
God,
that has an influence on
thank
you. Some
God.
people did grow up.
Oh,
with their
thank
parents.
God. The idea of my parents kissing me on the lips is so vile. And I love my parents, and I'm affectionate with both of them. Kiss my parents. My dad is for a 76-year-old man of his generation. My dad's very affectionate.
Yep.
But kissing on the mouth, it's disgusting. It really is. I'm sorry. I don't mean to judge, but that makes, we talked about Jay Buhner earlier.
Yeah.
I'd vomit.
I'm almost sensing a Twitter poll, but I just can't.
I think we've done this. This was a big thing a few years ago. We don't need to go back to it.
After the Brady thing, it was kind of a big deal, right? On his documentary and his son, and people were all weirded out by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, here we go. 425 is saying your romantic partner and your dog, Salk. All right, fair enough. You've got me on that one. They're very clean. They're very clean animals. All right, let's come back here. We'll give you guys everything you actually need to know.
Jeez.
We'll talk sports.
We're a sports station.
We'll talk mock drafts. We'll be very serious next on Brock and Salk.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
How does the McDonald-Schneider tandem look like the Carroll-Schneider tandem in terms of figuring out who they want to have play here?
Every day at 7:45.
I think it's a little bit different, Salk, because certainly they both say the same thing. We want guys that love football, but the optics and the lens through which Pete Carroll looks at that and Mike McDonald look at that are different because their wiring is very, very different.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Hey, it's Shannon O'Kelly, President and CEO of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy, inviting you to come to work for IRG. With just over 40 locations in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, you have the opportunity to work in the city and place you want with a great team, a great atmosphere, and great mentorship.
Shannon, what type of staff are you looking to hire? Is it just clinical staff right now?
We are looking to hire not only physical therapists, but also occupational therapists, exercise techs, athletic trainers, front office coordinators. We have a whole platform of different services we provide to the community.
Over 40 clinics in the Pacific Northwest. There are openings across the whole company. Head over to irgpt.com/careers and apply today. But Shannon, will they have any fun coming to work at IRG?
Oh my gosh, Brock, that's what it's all about. We want to have fun. We're all about passion. We're all about positivity. We want people to change lives. That's what we're doing here at IRG. We're changing lives, not only of our employees, our patients, and our communities. We want you to be your best self.
So head over to irgpt.com/careers, irgpt.com/careers, and apply today.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
All right, keep up. It's me, the radar gun at T-Mobile Park. And these Mariners pitchers have me working overtime. 3 all-star aces, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby throwing absolute gas.
Holy smokes, what a performance. Strikeout number 10 on the night.
And don't forget about Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, the young guns. Those guys get me fired all the way up.
Swing and a miss.
Yes, strike three, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And just when you think you've survived, here comes Andres Munoz dialing up triple digits and shutting the door. Oh, boy, I'm giddy just thinking about it.
Back-to-back strikeouts, and the ball game is over.
Trust me, you're going to want to grab a seat and feel the speed for yourself. And there they go again. I got to make sure my batteries are charged. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
The Mariners have an incredible slate of promos all month long. Don't miss the Cal Platinum Glove bobblehead giveaway Monday, April 7th through Wednesday, April 9th. Corduroy Hat Night presented by Alaska Airlines Friday, April 11th, and more. Go to mariners.com/promos to get your tickets and check out the complete lineup.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Rick Riz here for the Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington's Improve Your Play program. Many of our local youth sports teams need help with field enhancements, training, and equipment. Local Pella owners Keith Dashafy and Luke Wilson are stepping up to donate $5,000 to 2 deserving teams. We need your help finding them. Head to seattlesports.com/play to nominate a deserving team in need. Let's help our local youth improve their play this year with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Contest and rules at seattlesports.com/play.
The madness is still on at Toyota of Renton and Toyota of Kirkland to get you the best deals on your new ride. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, they have the widest selection of new and certified used inventory with the largest savings in the region. Now that's a slam dunk. The all-star staff will assist you with a test drive, and you can score that car the very same day. Come see for yourself or visit online at toyotaofrenton.com or toyotaofkirkland.com.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
Swedish CyberKnife is expanding. Dave Wyman with exciting news about Swedish adding a second CyberKnife in Seattle. CyberKnife is a non-invasive, extremely precise prostate cancer radiotherapy treatment. Compared with other radiation therapies, which last 6 to 9 weeks, the CyberKnife treatment period is much shorter, typically 5 days with daily sessions under an hour. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Yeah, it's now, yesterday during the day, but I just want to keep pointing out Luis Castillo yesterday, not just because he's one of my favorites, he is, but I just try to put myself in his shoes a little bit, right? He's been the opening day starter the last few years. It's been something that he has said specifically is important to him and a goal for him. They give that honor to Logan Gilbert this year. He doesn't whine. He doesn't pout. In fact, really the opposite. He goes out of his way to really be supportive and be a good teammate. He didn't pitch incredibly well in his first outing, but they really needed him yesterday, not just to pitch well, but to go deep into that game. For him to go 7 innings, 2 runs against Turk Skubal and all, that's a big deal. And I got to give that guy a little bit of extra credit.
So 2 things. Remember, and we learned in spring training, I think it was an article and a talk he had with Daniel Kramer, that he'd ask goals every year. Goal to be the opening day starter. Goal to be an all-star. Goal to win a Cy Young. Cy Young feels difficult in the American League. That's going to be, I think, a hard road to travel. But to be an all-star, yesterday was an all-star performance.
Sure was.
7 innings, 2 runs. He went 7 innings, by the way, looking back at stats last year, 5 times. And actually 3 of them were fairly early. Did not do it much after the all-star break and obviously kind of shut down at the end of the season. Yeah, I think you and I surprised that finished 6th, thought maybe that was it.
It's not the first time we've had this conversation about him, too. I don't remember the details or the day, but I remember having another conversation about them needing him to go deep into a start.
To contact.
And he did the same thing. He just threw a ton of 2-seamers and found ways to get himself significantly deeper into a game because that's what the situation called for. I like Luis Castillo. I don't know what to tell you. I like watching him pitch, and I really like him as a teammate, what he does for the rest of the guys. I liked watching him yesterday. Huge kudos to him, but he wasn't the only one. They took advantage of some mistakes that Detroit made. In fact, Colt Keith, the second baseman, made a big one, and Victor Robles made him pay for it.
Here's the pitch, swinging a fly ball deep into the gap in left center field. Kreidler going back to the one, he tracked to the wall, leaps up and he drops the ball. He had it, lost it. Moore will score. JP rounding third, waved in, he will score. The throw-in is cut off, and at second, Victor Robles with a double.
Also remember, they were down 3 center fielders, as Benetti told us. So
yeah,
you found a way to scratch one out, and you really desperately needed it, and it helped that they were on their 4th center fielder, and their second baseman made an amateur.
That's true.
Little league play.
But you did what you needed to do, and at the end of the game, the infield defense, which has been a problem, showed up in exactly the opposite way as Dylan Moore made a big defensive play that they needed.
The sent by Munoz, and the 2-2 on the way to Baez, swinging a ground ball to third, Moore charging, the throw to the plate, and it's going to be in time. The force and home will get Keith. Garver hangs on to the ball and a hard slide into him by Colt Keith. Dylan Moore gets that ground ball, coming home for the force at the plate for the second out of the inning.
Not an easy play to make. He made it. It was the right play, and Munoz eventually got the job done. So now they get an off day. They'll head to San Francisco this afternoon for the weekend. Kind of a weird one.
Weird trip, right?
Just 3 games and right back home.
Yeah,
and obviously Friday at 1:30 is a weird start time, but it's home opener there, so that's why you get the weird start time. The Modesto roster got announced, Brock. After all, we talked about the Everett roster and how good that is. Both Felnine Celestine and Ryan Sloan will be on the Modesto roster to start the year.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Football-wise, we got some info from Mike McDonald this week. He is pro tush push, even went so far as to say you got to defend it. Maybe we'll execute it one day. Would you like to see them tush push? How do you think Sam Darnold would be at the tush push?
Not bad. Not bad. He's a physical guy. He's a strong guy. But it's hard to do, man. You've got to be elite up front. Those guys, for Cam Jurgens, I remember having him in college at Nebraska. He was like a 700-pound squatter, shot put state record in Nebraska. I mean, he is an unbelievably powerful guy. So it's not just Jalen Hurts doing that thing. It really is, you got to be equipped at the point of attack. You got to have a quarterback that's different. You got to practice it, do it really, really well. They do. And, yeah, as much as it sounded like Roger Goodell yesterday, I was like, we'll shelve this for now, but maybe eventually. 16, that's a lot of dissenting voices.
It is, but
that's not just the old Philadelphia Eagles tree.
Usually what Roger wants, Roger gets. So my guess is he'll end up getting his way, as he almost always does, but maybe it'll take some time. So we'll see how that goes. McDonald also said that he'd be interested, Brock, in some joint practices. They did one last year in Tennessee. He'd like to maybe do a second.
We know their preseason opponents
Not yet.
That's not been put out
but
yet.
But usually, I mean, we know what we all want. Maura, I appreciate that you brought up, the Chargers as a possibility. It would be fun to have Harbaugh here. But let's be clear. Having Geno Smith and Pete Carroll come here for joint practices for a week would be the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
But Pete's never done those.
Awesome.
Pete has never done those and
Pete
doesn't
won't
believe
do
in
it.
doing those, and I don't think Pete would do that.
He certainly wouldn't do that.
No.
Not only would he not do a joint practice, he's definitely not going to do
Jim
it
Harbaugh
here.
would. The Harbaugh brothers do it.
Yeah.
They would, and Jim did it last year. And the Seahawks did it when they went on the road. So remember, those are always done, a couple days before whatever that preseason game is. So whoever comes into town, if there's 2 of them. And usually it's the first or second game, not the last game.
Yeah.
So
and a little easier to do, I think, with AFC opponents that you're not going to face during the year.
Yeah. Maybe teams won't want to do that though, as I'm thinking this out loud, because they're like,
Pete doing it here.
I don't know if I want my guys to experience practice on the water, 70 degrees, no humidity.
That's a good point.
Unbelievable fields. This dog that runs out before practice. Like, I don't know if
The
I
bald eagles.
Yeah. We'll see.
Good point.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
It's not been a great season for the Kraken, but as Brock's pointed out, they have beaten the Vancouver Canucks more than they've lost to them, which is nice.
Who's your daddy?
They're
Who's your daddy?
They're pretty good last night. They win 5-0. Shane Wright with his 18th of the year.
Drops it off for Wright with a shot. He scores! Shane Wright with a bullet. What a shot by 51. That's an NHL release right there. 3-0 Kraken.
Yeah, he shot that one almost as hard as the one Cecily shot into me, right into my groin a couple days ago. God, that hurt.
Groin?
Well, okay, testicles. Is that better? I mean, like, that's right where it hits, square on. If you want a medical term. God, did it hurt.
Couldn't you at least said gonads?
No. They're going with the medical. If you're going to say it, you might as well go formal, official medical. That's what they're called. That's where it hit. Really hurt. Writhing on the ground in pain. That's everything you need to know. And maybe a little extra.
You and Beltry and Haniger, poor guys. Poor fellas. Paul Moyer. Why is there so much quiet in the other room? Maura, Lyle? Anybody?
Why
Lyle?
is it quiet?
Lyle?
Seriously? Do you think I don't want to join that conversation.
No. I'm surprised you're not laughing at me the way my wife was. It's so funny. You're writhing in pain. It's like, it's not funny. It really, really, really hurts.
Yeah, it does.
That was not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Cecily. Really appreciate that. All right.
Lyle, your years of playing first base, you ever take a shot like that?
No, I did not.
Never really did.
No, I was lucky.
Did you in baseball?
You were a cup in baseball? Were you a cup guy?
Not by the time you're in high school.
Totally
no.
agree. Unless you're catching, obviously.
Yeah,
but without
that's
that, like.
On the infield?
Yeah,
I
no,
never wore a cup.
no.
What?
Never wore a cup in baseball.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Whoa.
That was a no.
Now, the football players that do that, I'm like, no.
We had, we were in like middle school, we wore a cup, right?
For football?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
But then eventually, no.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's too hard to run.
Yeah.
Now, hockey,
okay, you know what? Let's
hockey,
get off
you don't
of
have a
this.
choice. You
Here
have
we
to
go.
wear it in hockey.
Yeah, let's get off of this.
Huh?
Let's get off of this conversation.
Usually this weirdness is reserved for Brock in on a Friday.
Well, what's in my cup stays in my cup. I don't know what to tell you, Maura. We'll come right back with a whole bunch of mock information next on Rock and Salk.
4 down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
The NFL is trying to clean up the game. What do they want to emphasize, and how do you feel about it?
The NFL wants to bring in more sportsmanship. And I understand they're saying, look, we want kids watching the game to learn from these guys. And listen, it is a good idea. But the ball player in me says, man, forget all that noise. This is football.
4 down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
All right, let's talk about luxury. It awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. That's where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, oh man, they've got some great summer concert series coming up. Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, POD, all this summer overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. Get tickets or details at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Washington State has the 3rd highest cost of living in the nation. If Olympia politicians raise taxes again, the cost of everything from groceries and gas to housing will go up even more. They've already doubled spending over 10 years, with little to show for it. Washington State needs lower costs, not higher taxes. Demand smarter state spending now at affordablewashington.org. Paid for by people for an affordable Washington and Olympia, Washington. Top 5 donors are Washington Alliance for Competitive Economy, Microsoft, Madrona, T-Mobile, and Alaska Air.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit legacyg.com. That's legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your team and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Bob Stelton here for Asset Roofing, and they have got the perfect slogan. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset, and I witnessed this firsthand when I met Anthony, the owner, and again when I had him do work on my roof. Now this spring, replace your aging roof with Asset Roofing because you're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Check them out at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Lee Johnson culture to me is empowering all of your employees to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You know, there are certain things that it doesn't matter what level of employment you are in our organization. If it's not the right thing or it doesn't feel right, they have the ability to take care of the customer and make the decision without asking a manager, without asking an owner. The end result is they can speak to the customer with more confidence. They're definitely more confident in what they're trying to provide the customer, what the customer is trying to accomplish, and just giving them a better experience.
His name is Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of more than 300 full-time employees for the Lee Johnson Auto family. It's the united understanding among Lee Johnson employees that customers are the purpose of our day. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto.
John here with Happy Hauler. We want to help get your unwanted items to those in need. Furniture and household items you plan on throwing away? We'll take them and prioritize donating and recycling, keeping items out of the landfill, and giving useful items a second happy home. Happy Hauler is Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We work with over 20 nonprofits all over Western Washington to donate used items. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. Reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
Hi, John Curley here. It's a great time to upgrade with incredible savings on ultra-efficient heat pumps. Take advantage of local utility rebates up to $5,000 off on heat pumps. And Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Get both heating and cooling with an ultra-efficient heat pump in one unit. Plus, enjoy 18 months, same as cash financing. Call Home Comfort Alliance, the comfort people. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
That's one of my moves, Salt.
What is? Oh, let me see it again. Oh, that's good. Oh, it's sort of like the riding the motorcycle.
Yeah, not just the pizza toss,
right.
Not just the lawnmower. I kind of add that one right there.
Oh, that's good. That kind of modernizes it.
That was a hard stop.
That really modernizes it for you.
Why such a hard stop?
I don't know. If you need to see things like Brock dancing, you can always watch the stream of the show on YouTube.
People do, Salk. People do.
On the app or SeattleSports.com. Lots of great ways to consume the show with video. And I keep mentioning to people, if you like listening to the show, but you don't like the AM radio component of it, listen on 97.3 HD2. The sound is crystal clear. It's unbelievable. And you have it in all the new cars have HD radio. If your car was built within the last 5 to 10 years, you almost definitely have HD radio. So find 97.3 HD2 and you can listen to the show in crystal clear high definition. Sounds really good. All right, we got mock drafts. You want some mocks, Brock?
Sure.
I got mocks, like Johnny Moxon. Mocks. All right, here we go. Let's start with this one. This is our buddy Field Yates, the pride of Belmont Hill.
And remember, Salky, we're not 3 months away from the draft. Oh, no. We are 3 weeks away.
To the day.
To the day in Green Bay.
3 weeks today.
What do you think of the draft in Green Bay? I hope
that's where the draft is?
I hope there's a blizzard.
Ugh.
Actually, I don't. I hope it's a gorgeous time. Yeah, the draft is in Green Bay.
I don't think I realized
that. Don't say Green Bay is an amazing place.
I'm not saying that. I didn't realize
you did.
that.
You went,
Yeah, my best friend's from Appleton's right next to Green Bay, and so I have a tendency to, poo-poo. All right, well, I'm going to poo-poo this from our buddy Field Yates. Number 18, the Seahawks select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
So someone was telling me someone was trying to tell me that there's some whispers and some rumors and some comparisons to Joey Galloway. And I'm like, no, there's not a lot of Joey Galloways. I'm sorry. Joey Galloway, legitimately, is the fastest human being I've ever seen run in my life in person. In 99, after the draft, just telling this story last night, Mike Holmgren decided to have a mini combine. Thought it'd be a good idea there in the old Northwest College where the facility was, and our indoor facility was a bubble. And he was like, we're going to do a combine for all these old timers. I need to see where Sam Adams and Tez and House Ballard and all these guys that I'm inheriting. I need to see what they've got left in the tank. I need to see Derek Mays not bench 225 one time and watch 225 get stuck on his chest. Not one rep of it. I need to see and evaluate all of that. And Joey Galloway ran his 40. The whole place stopped.
Yeah.
And his feet weren't on the ground. It was a legitimate handheld 4-1, and it was stupid. Matthew Golden's a terrific athlete. He's super dynamic and fast. He's not Joey Galloway, and I can't imagine him a Seahawk at 18.
It really would be upsetting if they were to draft a wide receiver at number 18, but that's what Field has. And then it kind of gets worse because at number 50, he's got Siobhan Revell Jr., cornerback from East Carolina.
Well, he is in for a top 30 visit, so that came out yesterday. He's an interesting cat. Started his career at Middle Tennessee. He's one of these guys that's played 6 years of college football. This is a draft that I think we will see more 6- and 7-year players that will eventually wash itself out as these COVID years, go away. But started at Middle Tennessee State, became an all-conference guy, went to Louisville, built himself up into an all-conference guy there. He's feisty now. I like feisty corners, but I can't take a corner there. So you're telling me you take a receiver and a corner?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with either of these two players. Matthew Golden seems like a good player, and I do like the idea of them drafting a corner at some point. But if your first 2 picks in this draft are Matthew Golden and Siobhan Revell Jr., I'd vomit.
Not only is your head going to pop off, it's going to roll.
I mean, that would
right down 405 into the lake.
It would be a mistake. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It'd be really hard to imagine that would happen. He follows it up, but this one would be a little better. 52, Jared Wilson, center from Georgia. Seen his name a bunch of times in the second round to the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's interesting because you heard from DJ, and we'll play some DJ sound in the second after we go through these mocks. And I kind of asked him about some interior alignment with some great short area quickness, which is a real necessity within this zone scheme, and you don't hear his name. He is kind of lumped in with my other guy that I love out of Alabama is just maulers. Big, physical, powerful dudes.
But they've already decided not to go down that road, right? I mean, like when they went with this system as opposed to one of the others, didn't that kind of take them away from some of the maulers?
It can. Yes, it certainly can. I don't think it is ever mutually exclusive, Salk. And you just say, yeah, can't do it because guards and centers play in phone booths by and large, right? And you do have to have some anchor, and you do have to, against these D tackles that you face in this league and the man-child that is many of them, you got to be able to anchor down. So he is a powerful, powerful guy. The quickness and the athleticism, a bit of a question mark.
All right, so that would be a challenging. If Field Yates draft, if it goes that way, that would be challenging.
I think that'd be real hard. Field Yates yesterday. Wonder if he's changing his look a little bit. I don't know if you noticed. I was watching some NFL Live. Really cool yesterday, actually. This was super, super sweet. I didn't realize Dan Orlovsky's got a nonverbal autistic son, and they had him on yesterday.
Yeah.
And he did all the artwork. Did you see some of this?
I saw the artwork, yeah.
It was beautiful,
yeah,
man.
It was pretty cool.
It was so stinking cool. And they brought Kuiper on, and as Kuiper's hair is going one way, I think Fields is trying to flex on him. He's trying to have a little more like helmet hair.
Yeah, I saw somebody referring to him as Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Interesting little flex.
Well,
okay.
This mock draft is terrible, at least from a Seahawks perspective. No offense to Field, that would be a mess if that's the direction they go. Nate Davis of USA Today.
The old QB, Nate Davis?
I don't know. I think it's a different Nate Davis. What was the guy confused that Nate Davis with? The guy who had been with the Niners, right?
Yeah, that was Nate Davis.
Oh, that was Nate Davis.
That was Nate Davis, yes. Nate Davis.
There was another guy, though, because I kind of confused him. In fact, I think I put one name into the... Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, this is a different Nate Davis.
Nate Davis, the one that always picks the Seahawks to go like 2 and...
I think
whatever.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not to be confused with Davis Mills either.
No.
Nate Davis of USA Today has the Seahawks selecting Jackson Dart at pick number 18. How would you feel if the Seahawks select Jackson Dart at number 18?
How would you feel about DJ's 35th best player?
At number 18?
At number 18. But it's a quarterback.
I mean, because it's a quarterback, you can't say that's a reach, right? I mean, like, you got to get him. If you believe he's that good, you got to get him, and you'd get him for the extra year if it works out.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that with Sam Darnold. I'm not doing that in that locker room. I'm not doing that in that QB room. I'm not doing that. And I would agree with Tom Telesco's tape yesterday when he said you can never predict. You can never, in today's real time plan for tomorrow's quarterbacks and the draft and everything else. But there is going to be some volume of guys next year that are going to be in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the teens, the top 10 as far as your grades. I can't go 35.
I tend to agree. I think that'd be hard for me. But let me ask you this question while we're talking about Jackson Dart. You were with Tim Hasselbeck and Mel Kiper the other day with the Andy Dalton, Chad Pennington kind of comps for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Have you come up with a good comp for Jackson Dart?
There would be some Andy Dalton there as well. I think that there would be some Andy Dalton. The unique thing and the plus side of a Jackson Dart and Salk, I think it will be so advantageous for me to coach in a lot of different ways. And just learn. And I'm going to see the game totally differently and learn things that I didn't know and all of that. But I feel for the number of times I say to Titus and to Theo and to these young QBs that I get to work with, and I say, listen, I know you guys care about your spiral. I know that you care about how all this looks. I know that you care about how far and how hard you can throw it. I really care about whether these guys follow you. I really do. I really care whether or not, they look to you and they listen to you and you have a voice, because in the end, that is so important. And Jackson Dart, I think, is the one guy, because of some of his background, the guys do follow. That at the combine, he was the one that kind of time and again, and his Ole Miss teammates on both sides of the ball, he resonates. And he's a guy that grew up in Mormonville, Utah, and went to multiple high schools. And then he plays in USC and down in L.A. outside of Watts. And, he's got that background. And then he goes to Oxford, Mississippi. Yeah. And he plays in the SEC. The dude has been around for life.
Part of it.
Yes.
360 says Dart compared himself to Jalen Hurts, and Bump tended to agree with that. You see any of that?
Yeah. I mean, he's not as powerful as Jalen. Jalen is built like a brick house, and I think at times can be a little robotic and methodical as a passer. Jalen was in college at times, still fights that in the NFL. I think Jackson rips it a little bit more than him, a little bit more arm slots, a little bit more of the present day QB with all the different arm angles and stuff. But he's not like an elite passer. He doesn't overwhelm you as a thrower, much like Jalen doesn't overwhelm you as a thrower.
Well, and just a quick appreciation to the 604 up in Canada. It was Austin Davis, of course. Austin Nate Davis. Austin Nate Davis that I would bring up all the time.
What a great listener.
We asked, thank you, appreciate Canadians, of course, the nicest people. We asked Daniel Jeremiah earlier today whether the Seahawks should consider Jackson Dart.
He's my 35th, 36th player. So, yeah, that would put him – I'm doing my due diligence for sure. I think I want to. I'm a Sam Darnold guy, so I would prefer to try and help Sam here with this first pick. If somehow Jackson Dart's still floating around there in the second round, that might just be a situation where this is value here. I'll take it.
What does the 18th pick say if you do that to Sam Darnold?
Mm-hmm.
What's say to the locker room? What's say to Cooper Kupp? What's say to these guys?
Competition, compete every day.
It does.
I don't know. I mean, like, that you're thinking long term, that your quarterback has a 1-year deal, that Sam Howell has not been very good. I mean, like, I don't know whether that's the thing I would want to do, but
it also undercuts some of the credibility of what he
does.
did a year ago.
It does.
And I just don't think you want to go down
Still
that
be a
road.
better idea than drafting a wide receiver.
Yes.
I would prefer Jackson Dart to a wide receiver. And again, I will say this too. If they do draft Jackson Dart at 18, it does mean that John Schneider loves him.
That's right.
So I don't know if they should draft him at 18, but if they do, I'm not going to come in and complain the next day.
No.
I am not. I'm going to say, all right, this is a big risk. It's a big swing. But if John Schneider likes it, I'm in.
Complain?
I won't.
It's called sports radio gold.
Well, you're going to complain because you don't think they should. You think it's going to be hard for all these guys.
For our job and our conversation.
For that,
and
it'll be
everything else.
great.
It will be a grand salami.
But even just as an observer, like, I think it would be phenomenal just because it means John loves him. He believes in him, and he thinks that it's worth it. So
that he thinks he's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, one of the guys that I'm really willing, after all this time, to pull the trigger and go for it.
All right. I got another mock for you. I've got two more. This one is from Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus. And he has the Seahawks going in a direction I don't think we've heard, and I have not heard this name mentioned once for the Seahawks, Brock. How would you feel if at number 18 the Seahawks selected edge rusher? Is it Michael or Mikel?
Just say it fast.
Williams, Michael Williams from Georgia, Mikel Williams from Georgia, Mykel.
Yeah.
How would you feel about an edge rusher from Georgia?
Yeah, he's kind of a dude now. Like, he was banged up this year, and there were games that I watched, and when he was on the field, and this is it's a different position. He's an edge. He's not Carter inside, but the same way you watched Carter, and you were like, that's a man child.
He's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he just like... He's like picking people up and pile driving them. Like, he's just, you're not supposed to be able to do that. What did Carter wear at 88 at Georgia, I think? And it just stood out in that way. And when this guy played, there were games this year where I'm like, well, that's just silly. Like the Texas game in particular, and Texas was number 1 in the country and went down to Texas and totally took over that game. And Texas has 2 tackles that are going to be drafted, and one of them maybe in the first round. And it was like, can't block that guy. Like, well, that's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. But there was some kind of injuries and some bumps in the roads, and, maybe he falls there. And that would be one of those that, wow, that would be not a need, because there's Boye Mafe, there's Derek Hall, there's DeMarcus Lawrence. There's a lot of resources on this roster set on the edge of that defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Mafe getting up there to where you got to make a decision contractually. You got DeMarcus Lawrence on basically a 1-year deal as well. I would not hate that pick.
Yeah.
That's a big man. It could be a big difference maker on the edge.
I will never hate taking an edge rusher.
Yep.
I would be unable to come in here and say, I can't believe you took a player at that position. I don't know whether he's a great player or not, but if he is, that position is just so impactful. For all the debate we had about impact, if you've got one, the guys you have are good. If you think he's great,
that's right.
I don't think I could fault that.
Yeah, if you think he's a 10-sack guy and just there's even more to unlock, and when he is healthy, he is right, and man, surround him and play him 45%, 55% of the snaps in a rotation with Derek and Boye and DeMarcus. Yeah, I got no
just
issues
reading
with that.
what they wrote about him, what Wasserman wrote, he says Seattle's edge defenders ranked 23rd last year against the run. They did acquire DeMarcus Lawrence in order to help with that, but the addition of Williams would further help that cause. Williams' experience across multiple defensive line positions would also further allow Mike McDonald to sustain creativity in his fronts.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, can he bump inside a little bit too?
Yeah,
Is he like
nickel,
that?
in your nickel, pressure.
Yeah, then that's
packages,
pretty
yes.
interesting to me. I mean, I think those guys are valuable. If you could get someone like that in the second round, I'd probably be happier.
Not going to happen.
But I couldn't possibly be upset if you took that in the first round. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Lance Zierlein, another guy we've had on the show before down in Houston. He has the Seahawks selecting Brock. Arizona wide receiver Teteroa McMillan.
We put that one to bed last
I
hour.
know, but I'll read you what he wrote. The signings of Kupp and Marquez Valdez-Scantling should not prevent the Seahawks from adding a talented wideout to help smooth the transition for new quarterback Sam Darnold. They still need guard help, but that will have to come later. Why? Why will it have to come later? Why would that not be more helpful to smoothing the transition for Sam Darnold than a wide receiver? I don't see it. I'm sorry. That would drive me insane.
And to have one that is a finesse wide receiver at that doesn't love watching tape, that to me is not doing enough homework, because I just cannot imagine that. And again, this might be egg right on my face and your face and everyone's face if they end up doing this and he turns out to be a great player and the light bulb goes on, because his traits of his size and his fluidity and his explosiveness and his ball skills, yeah, I get it, top 20. It's not a lot of him walking planet Earth. But there's different priorities this team needs.
We did ask DJ about the whole wide receiver deal as well.
I don't think I've ever had that in these. The only one that I had was the last mock I got it right here, because this was
tight
my
end
situation. Yeah, because when the way this one worked out, because Zabel went 16 to the Cardinals. Colston
DJ, your
Loveland was
peers, many of your peers put a wide receiver at 18.
Either Golden or McMillan.
Yes.
No, I
Thank you.
No, I don't see it now. No, Mike, no.
Good.
Michael, that's not it at all. No.
Stop saying it like that. Like I want them to take a wide receiver.
No, Mike, that's not it at all.
That's not what I want. Please stop doing that. I don't like when you do this. I don't like when you
Why?
put me...
Because it feeds the masses?
Yes. It drives me crazy. It's another thing I don't care for. You found another thing that I don't care for. I don't care for people ascribing opinions to me that I don't have.
No, Mike, no, that's not it at all. No. Is that in the system somewhere, Maura? Do we have Pete Carroll somewhere in the system saying?
This before. No.
No, Mike, no, that's not
We
it
couldn't.
at all.
We combed through Pete, and even though we heard it, we couldn't find it anywhere. I'm sorry, bro.
Do we use the big comb like on Spaceballs? Do we use the big comb?
The big comb. I ain't anyway.
Okay,
it's
he answered your
interesting, Brock.
question,
That's
Salk.
five. That's five mock drafts. None of them involved the Seahawks selecting an offensive lineman in pick 18. DJ seems to think that they should, and specifically if it's Gray Zabel who's available there, that's the direction they should go.
Gray Zabel. I would take Gray Zabel. I think he can do everything. I love Booker. Booker in gap scheme and just power and firm pocket and intelligence, leadership, all that stuff off the charts. I'm still a Booker fan. I love Booker, but to me, Gray Zabel can give you the majority of that stuff, as well as the ability to get out in space and do things second level and pull them and just give you the versatility. Plus, he's got legit 5-position flex on an offensive line that's had injury issues over the years. Having a guy like that who you can kind of shuffle the deck around a little bit, I thought he would be just a tremendous value for them.
So, all right, you got to take him at 18. Not to give away my number one guy here 2-3 weeks for the day before you got to take him at 18. The versatility to play tackle, the versatility to play guard, the versatility to play center. The fact that dude's got a 37-inch vertical. Like, again, talk about stuff that humans at 306 pounds at 6'6" are not supposed to be able to do. So, do you know how high? I think if you had a 37-inch vertical, even you with your small hands at 5'9" nature at 37 inches, guess what you could do? You could dunk a basketball.
Why do you need to say things
You
like
could
that?
dunk a basketball.
Why do you need to lie about my height to the people? Why is that
5'10".
necessary?
Oh, sorry, I'm 5'10".
Why is it
in your
necessary
shoes.
for you to exaggerate things like that?
Yeah, if you had a 37-inch vert, Salk, you could go down to the Washington.
37 inches?
You could go to the Washington Athletic Club. You could bounce off 2 feet at 5'10" and go up and yak.
What do you think my actual vert is?
17.
Okay, what do you think it
No,
was when
you
I
did
was?
it. I
know.
think
What
you
do you
did
think
like
I did?
20. Didn't you do 24? You were decent.
Was it?
Yeah, I want to say it was. I think Cadota was 8 inches. That was the worst. I think there were a bunch in the teens. I'm serious. I think Cadota did not get to 10 inches.
Okay, so you think I was in the 20s?
I want to say
Well,
I
I'll
was
see if I can
impressed.
find that.
I think you were 22 to 24.
So what do you think I was when I was in high school? Probably a little more than that,
Yeah,
right?
probably like 20. Yeah, probably 28. 29,
That
30,
seems
37 inches.
Well, if I had 10 more inches in my vertical, I might have been able to come close to dunking.
Yes.
The
Could
very
you
least I
almost
could have
touch
touched
the rim back in the day?
Almost. Not
Yeah.
really.
So you could almost touch the rim back in the day. Now give yourself another 11 inches. Yeah, you're dunking at the Washington Athletic
At least
Club,
with a small basketball. The hands thing becomes a challenge as you're going up for that, don't you think?
Yeah.
Maybe a tennis ball or something along
So
those
he
lines.
spoke your language. He spoke. I mean, he basically gave you a Vegemite sandwich. When you asked him, talk to me about best available, right? This whole thing we hear all the time. I thought he just put it to bed. Like he just answered it in a way that, you know what? Best available, biggest need. There was some inside information, insider trading here. The DJ was really good.
Yeah, there's sort of two parts to this. The first is where DJ was like, well, yeah, they say best available, but it's the best available as ranked by their positions of need, which I thought was very funny. He went on a little bit beyond that, though, to say it's not just impact, although he liked my word. He went a little farther.
Yeah, I think impact's a good word. I think there's also the financial component to this that I've heard way more over the last handful of years, which is like we were talking about. Who was it? Was talking to a team, and I was discussing how would you stack this little clump of receivers versus it might even been like it was a defensive tackle, I believe, and he said his point was, well, with what I'd have to pay a receiver on the open market and the lack of quality receivers who ever even get to the market anymore, it's too much value for me to take the defensive tackle. Like there's going to be defensive tackles in free agency. We can find one if we need one, but like impact receivers, like those guys are going for $30 million a year and they don't get to the markets.
I think I brought that up with you last week or something, right? Talking about, even in the draft, the financial ramifications. And again, why these QBs have been overdrafted in the first round is, if you're right, Bo Nix, it can transform your program. Jaden Daniels, you get them at a rate that is what, 1/4, and all the freedom then it gives you for the rest of your roster for those 3 to 4 years. It's huge. It came into play with Devin Witherspoon and Carter, and not just for the Seahawks, for the Lions that followed, for the teams that followed. Like, do I want to pay a D tackle that's got some red flags and give that guy $27 million guaranteed dollars, or do I want to and feel much better about giving that to a nickel corner safety who's got that kind of positional versatility, who plays this game so freaking hard that won't change one iota when I give him that kind of loot? It played a role in that conversation with the Seahawks, as it did the teams that followed after the Seahawks in that draft.
Yeah.
We don't think about that on draft day, but I think DJ makes a pretty good point that these teams do, is they put together their budgets and their plans and their flow charts of how they're going to fit all this stuff under the cap together.
That's probably the best argument you could make for the wide receiver, by the way.
Yes.
Like, if you were going to make any wide receiver, push, it would have to be that. That's really the only.
But if I'm right on this guy at
make.
18, if I'm right at this guy at 18, I'm paying him, what is the 18th pick in the draft going to get? $4 or $5 million bucks? Like,
right.
I'm paying him that versus $30 million, and I get him for 3+ years on that contract versus these teams paying all of these dudes $30 to $33 million bucks. Yeah, that is maybe, an area to consider, and why you've seen some of these teams, not just because of need, but because of that just value component come into play.
I'm seeing if I can. I'm looking hard here for the results. I've got the results from the 2017 Media Combine, Brock, and I got the broad jump here.
You ran a decent 40
vertical jump.
Yeah, I think you were 22.
I finished third.
Yeah,
in the vertical jump.
Yeah.
John Boyle wins with 26 inches.
20. Yep.
Got Anthony Hallwig from Power 93.3 won 25.
Yeah.
And I was next at 22.5.
Dude, how about my cranium? And
That's
some
unbelievable.
Of the stuff that
I couldn't have come up with that number in a million years.
How does that get stuck in my head?
I was third in the broad jump too. 7'10".
Not bad.
Ahead of Brady.
That was 8 years. I don't think you're getting there.
You're probably not.
8
You
years
want the
ago,
40 time?
You were 5'4". 5'3", 5'4".
I was 5.403.
Dude, I am.
What is wrong with you? Why do you remember that? We gotta
I don't
go.
Freaking
It'll be a
brilliant.
fun Friday tomorrow.
Start listening to me,
Scott,
Salk.
and a
I'm
whole lot of
brilliant.
other stuff. I'm blown away right now. I couldn't have come up with those numbers if you paid me $1 million.
I care about you. Think about you.
Smoked Brady in the 40, by the way. Come on, Brady. 5'6"? Kidding me? Bump and Stacy up next. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 6. The Hay.
And Howdy was a 6'2" in the barn.
See everybody.
Get to the chopper!
The Cal Raleigh Show.
Belted way out of here to right field. Holy smokes.
Every Thursday with Shannon Drayer on Wyman and Bob.
Seattle has been nothing but good to me. I would love nothing more to play for one team my whole career.
Listen live on the Seattle Sports app or find the video on YouTube.
Cal Raleigh with a walk-off home run.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
47,000 fans are going crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
Are you a small business owner who needs immediate cash flow? At Swish Funding, we have flexible funding options from $25,000 to $2 million. For the best rates and terms for your business, just one application to Swish Funding gives you access to our entire network of funders, with cash in your account in as little as 24 hours. To qualify, you must be in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000. Apply at swishradio.com and use code GROW. Swishradio.com, code GROW.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I need new rotors.
When you buy 2 Duralast rotors during our spring sale, you get Duralast brake pads free.
Free?
With the rotors.
Well, that's great. What if I need extra stopping power?
You can upgrade to Duralast Gold pads for just $10.
So Duralast pads are free?
Yep.
And an upgrade is just $10?
That's right. Part of the spring sale at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use. Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hey friends, Stacey Rost here. Who has some of the best deals on new Fords and Isuzus in the Pacific Northwest? Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Who has a large selection of the highest quality used vehicles in the Pacific Northwest? That would also be Wayscar Ford in Auburn. And what dealership promises no games, no gimmicks, and never any pressure to purchase? Yes, that is correct. It's Wayscar Ford in Auburn still. Who's the only Ford dealer in all of Washington to offer a 5-day or 500-mile, no questions asked, 100% money-back return policy? Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They offer free lifetime powertrain warranty on virtually all of their new Fords. Who's the only dealer that will purchase your used car, pay you right up front, and then once they resell your old car, return 50% of the profit to you? Only Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They've given over $750,000 back to customers who have sold them their cars. And finally, what dealership has been family-owned and operated in Auburn for over 103 years? You guessed it, Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Visit them at wayscarford.com.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Joe Milton is on the move. The Patriots are trading Milton. They're back up to the Cowboys for a fifth rounder. It's number 171 overall. That from Adam Schefter this morning. The Cowboys back up last season. Cooper Rush signed with the Ravens in free agency. So Dallas